One song, one kiss, that's all it takes to be back to this. I'm here, you're gone, and all that's left are empty walls. Stay up, stand tall, I'll be right here and I'm waiting for your call. See that I'm not the one you wanted. I'll stay strong, 'cause you're not the one I needed. You let me down, you let me down, you let me down, I don't need it. See that I'm not the one you wanted. I'm not the one you wanted. You're not you can't succeed. Hard work and a lot of time is all you need. You can become the best. Put your body and mind to the test. Block out what the haters say. Bask in the sun while they're throwing shade. If you want your dreams to soar with eagles, first you gotta grow their wings. You gotta keep on keeping on. Never stop, never stop, never stop. And give it your all while you're giving your all. And best your very best. Smile on. Progress, you're making it. Pushing up the lane bit by bit. Teamwork, you're better together. Take the fire giant and apply more pressure. Adversity, it's inevitable. Keep your head up, you'll be unstoppable. Perseverance, keep on fighting. Never give up until you're down the titan. Victory comes at a real high price, but you got a great credit score. Gotta keep on keeping on. Never stop, never stop, never stop. And give it your all while you're giving your all. And best your very best. Smile on. Time has come, your training's done. Your skills are sharp as razors. This is it, the championships, and you're the world's best player. Seen by millions of eyes, and there's a hefty prize. So don't you go and joke, 'cause you'll be ridiculed and you'll be ostracized. But of every joke.
Oh, wow. Yes. This probably isn't very helpful right now, is it? Sorry about that. Bacchus, hit us with a key change, big boy.
Gotta keep on keeping on. Never stop, never stop, never stop. And give it your all while you're giving your all. And best your very best. Gotta keep on keeping on. Never stop, never stop, never stop. And give it your all while you're giving your all. Give it on now. And best your very best. Spin on.
Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're viewing us from, but either way, it's still the same old SMITE fun. My name's Tom, and that guy is Ryan. We're going to get off to a fantastic start today. Week 2 of our European Open bracket, all set up for the relegations into the SMITE Pro League.
Yeah, really excited to see week 2. I mean, week 1, it's been a little bit of a break for a lot of these teams playing. Obviously, none were at the World Championships or Super Regionals or anything like that. So the first time you're getting really back into those options of competitive play takes a little bit to get going, but now in week 2, I think that we're going to start to see some of these teams really pick themselves up.
Yeah, it should be very exciting over here. Up next, you can see at the top, Lunatic Jesters versus Dutch Myrmidons. Dutch Myrmidons put on a good show last time around, but had a couple of hiccups. That's Stevie Beefy's team, otherwise known as Zashu, fresh off of the competitive ban. This guy is obviously the guy that I've been focusing on. He came out in his rookie season having a fantastic start for the team that he was playing on, but unfortunately, like we said, got stunted because of that ban, and now he's back with a vengeance. I'm really eager to see what he can do.
I mean, that first of all, that's the big Stevie Beefy to you. The big. SB, and don't you forget it. But yeah, Zashu really put on a show last week, and I expect to see the same from him this week. But I believe in this matchup up against Lunatic Jesters, he's going up against his replacement whenever he got banned in the spring split in Axios. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun matchup. Axios and Stevie Beefy going head-to-head. And in all honesty, you know, when Axios came on board to the squad, he did a good job, but I think Stevie Beefy was, I mean, we don't have the superlative, but he was on his way to being Rookie of the Year in a lot of people's eyes. he was crushing it.
Yeah, he was doing really, really well, and you can see exactly why just based on his performance last week. And like I mentioned, these teams are going to start to synergize even better than they did last week. They're going to really start to see that cohesiveness. They get another week to practice their picks and bans, which is usually where you see a lot of these Challenger Cup teams really lack. And so I'm really looking for better drafts this time around from both sides.
Especially with Dutch Myrmidons, their squad consisting of Mike the Magikarp, which is Get Fisher, Death Panther, Hoek, and Boss. These guys are, you see them all the time on Twitter and in Twitch chats. They're always hanging out together, which is a really solid point if you're interested in this team. Seeing teams be able to interact outside of the ring is definitely a big deal. Their opposition on the other side, Lunatic Jesters, Axios, like you said, Silenced, Vastrical, Spudio, some familiar names, but the mid laner is going to be Rapio. What can you say about him?
My console brethren coming over. He spent the last few months on the console scene. He was a jungler over there, but really touted as the best jungler in Europe, but his team kind of came here to their LAN and didn't do as well as they wanted to, didn't end up making it to Worlds, but he was touted as the best jungler in the European SCL. So his transition to the mid lane, it's going to be interesting because those are two different styles. They work together a lot, but your play style has to be very, very different between the two. Usually your jungler is either your initiator if you're playing something like Thor, or it can be your cleanup assassin, you know. But if you're playing the mid lane, you have to be very, very careful with your positioning. Most assassins have that kind of escapability that most mages do not.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the console players come over to the PC side of things. After a couple of years in their little incubator, if you will, of the SCL, really their skill and individual talent has picked up, and they're hoping to take their talents and increase the point value that their teams have been able to ascend to. That's what we're doing here. The open brackets here last week, we'll combine those points with them this week, which is why even though you see Variety's new team, they took home the gold last week, they're still competing. So as is right now, Variety's new team on top as they came in number 1 with 100 points. Last minute monsters get 60. Dutch Myrmidons with 40. But it's also worth noting that the third place team actually from last week had to forfeit their points. So Dutch Myrmidons gets a little bit of a boost, which looking at the roster might be exactly what they need.
That's a great point. That they're in a great spot right now. If Dutch Myrmidons can just get to the semifinals or the finals, they're basically guaranteed. There's no way they're not going to make it. And this is an opportunity for a team like Lunatic Jesters. They can upset the Dutch Myrmidons. I mean, with how open the points are right now, you can really get yourself into that top 3 spot that everyone's really gunning for. Yeah,
it's going to be a very exciting situation as we have here. The 3 teams, actually, top 3 teams will head to relegation against the bottom 3 from the SPL. It'll be a round robin, and then, of course, will be later on in the month. But right now, it's all about our open bracket here, which presents different type of sort of not just strategy, but also longevity, right?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I talked about it a lot last week, is just playing this many games of competitive Smite in a row. You may have to wait for another team to finish your side of the bracket so that you can move on to your match. It's very, very difficult to stay focused for that long, and that's why we usually see really, really solid games in the semifinals, and then the finals, it usually turns out to be a little bit of a letdown, just because by the time you get to all the way to the finals, you're really relying on that just straight up mechanical skill to move on, basically.
So right here we are in the quarterfinals, so this is going to be a single game set. Lunatic Jesters or Dutch Myrmidons will move on to play a best of 3 in those semis, and right away we're going to start things off. Lunatic Jesters don't want to see any Thanatos. They don't want to see Mike the Magikarp playing on that aggressive jungler.
Or it could go to the solo lane. I mean, we've seen a lot of solo Thanatoses as well.
True.
Thanatos is just a really strong pick during the Season 3 meta. Early aggression, really, really strong. I know you're very pleased to hear that. And he just brings a lot because he doesn't have that fall off that he was really perceived to have in the late game. Everyone's starting to recognize that if we can get a tank or a solo laner to 40% HP, that's still a ton of HP left. You could execute them immediately with Thanatos.
Listen, I've been saying it for years on years, and things in the meta have changed, but nothing has changed around that character. It's simply the idea that people are finally down with the execute threshold. Khepri is also going to be banned next to Sol from the Dutch Myrmidons, and a Wheelish, interestingly enough. So the Lunatic Jesters certainly have assassins on their mind, and with that, they're going to take one of Mike the Magikarp's better characters in Ratatasker right off the board.
But that leaves Erlong Shen open for the Dutch Myrmidons, and Zashu, or the Big SB, really made an impact on this god last week in giving your best player, most likely, we can all agree that the Big SB is probably Dutch Meerman's strongest player. Giving your strongest player an early pick like this is a really, really good way to just get the ball rolling in your favor.
Absolutely. Giannis will be the selection for the mid lane, and Sylvanas will go right next to him. So Dutch Meerman still have the option to pick for Mike the Magikarp as Lunatic took away his Ratatasker, like we said. Giannis, Sylvanas, Ratatasker. There's a lot of globals in there that make things a little bit scary.
I love this raw pickup, though, from Dutch Myrmidons, and matching that sustain that Sylvanas brings for Lunatic Gestures, but also giving that long-range damage that we see works so well with Erlong Shen. Maybe this Erlong Shen isn't for the Big SB in the solo lane. It could be a jungle pick for Mike the Magikarp, really synergizing well. Or in the support role, we saw this is the eager strat, right? Aurora setting up pins for best snipes. Maybe the Dutch Myrmidons are trying to pull a page out of Eager's book.
Kronos will be banned here. Don't forget, unlike the PTS, he still has his gas pedal available on Accelerate, so that's certainly going to be very powerful. And Geb out of LJ is going to be banned out. Next to Zeus, an interesting mid lane pick, despite the fact that Giannis has already been selected. So either Dutch Myrmidons is thinking that they were going to see a Zeus in the Hunter role, piloted by Vatrical.
Maybe. I mean, we saw on the NA side, Betty Q is a popular support player, or Challenger Cup player rather, in the Hunter role that likes to play these sort of off-meta magical hunters. Maybe Lunatic Gestures have their own EU Benny Q.
It's a little bit weird. As a point I want to make about Lunatic Gestures. So last week they played with Spudio in the Hunter role. This week they have Vatrical, who's known for his Hunter play, but he'll be in the support position on paper. We'll see what happens when the teams reach the battlefield. Sobek will be the guardian of choice for Dutch Myrmidons. I expect to see that. Honestly, really, with Stiefy Beefy, that could go either way.
Exactly. Another flex pick for Dutch Myrmidons, and that's really strong that Lunatic Gestures don't really know what's happening on that right-hand side. They don't know where Erlong Shen's going to be, because that could be in the support, jungle, or solo. Sobek, solo, or support. Love the flex pick capabilities from Dutch Myrmidons draft.
Osiris is absolutely going to go to Axios, though. We've seen him play that character to very strong points. The last pick for Dutch Myrmidons. This might be able to tell us where those two, where that Warrior, Erlong Shen, and Sobek are going to go. It'll be the Thor. So Thor obviously in the jungle. Sobek and Erlong still not yet set.
Yeah, it depends on the matchup that you really want to go for. Erlong Shen going to be able to box out Osiris much better in lane than a Sobek will, but Sobek can play that lane very, very passively. Just kind of sit under tower. The poke from Osiris not going to be too effective against him, just because you have that heal-off Sickening Strike that you could keep yourself topped off and then really try to make your impact when you rotate towards these team fights.
Should be very exciting. Lunatic Gestures versus Dutch Myrmidons.
Here we go into the game. It is going to be Erlong Shen in the solo lane, not in the support role. Hoek's going to be piloting that Sobek, and I anticipate that that's also due to the fact that the matchup's a little bit better for Erlong Shen in lane, like I mentioned, but the Sobek into Sylvanas matchup is very, very heavily in Sobek's favor in lane and in these skirmishes.
Right away, we're going to get the pluck right into the middle of everybody. Vastrigal, the big tree, stuck in the middle. Big old damage out of Thor. Some help. Vastrigal's going to be safe.
He's out. All those protections right there from Shell, from Wisps, you're going to be able to absorb all of that damage. And luckily for Dutch Myrmidons, it didn't look like they took any skills that were really bad for the early clear outside of that charge prey from Hoek.
So very interesting start, like you mentioned, between the, if that was any other character, even with the Shell, I think you find a death there, but the Vatrigal on the Sylvanas certainly helps himself out. Axios, after all of that, still wants to be aggressive, and he's going to play up in the enemy's face. It looks like Lunatic Gestures want to go for these mid-harpies, but Dutch Myrmidons, they certainly know.
They're coming underneath here, and I love this decision because of the Wrath being picked up by the Big SB. They still want to fight, and we saw it last week. Thor in these level 1 engagements, so strong.
Absolutely, that's what the passive is all about. This time around, Ratatasker does not have the same help that the Sylvanas did, and down he goes. The big Stiefy Beefy, the first one on the board for Dutch Myrmidons way early in the game.
But you got to give shout-outs to Hoek. He's the one making these things happen with that pluck, just pulling people out of position again and again. Silence clearly didn't have the dart, wasn't able to get away.
That'll be an easy first blood coming out for Dutch Myrmidons, essentially starting the game up 1,000 gold. Not just a 500 bounty for getting the first kill, but of course, invading into the speed buff. You're sitting there up, like I said, about 900 gold, give or take. Dutch Myrmidons already with their first foot forward.
And not only that, but Sobek's gotten 60 gold for free off of Travelers already. Going for the early boots rush, getting that mobility, getting that power, and that passive, allowing him to really farm up effectively.
So that was actually a really dangerous play that Lunatic Lunatic Jesters just made there for the mid-Harpies. It might not seem at first glance, but Dutch Myrmidons had a collapse play if they really wanted to go in that direction. But instead, they got the Gremlins over there by the Fire Giant, and now they're going to be pressuring over there into the solo lane. Axios battling 1v2.
And in the middle lane, it's got to be Silence just farming there. He needs this farm badly. He's still sitting at level 2. Mike the Magikarp now hitting level 3. No Wrath available right now for the big SB. He used that to secure speed buff on that invade, but it's going to be Rapio plucked in immediately into the pin. Forced to Purification is going to survive, but just barely.
Ooh, interesting start for the console player here. I think a lot of people have their eyes on the console players, but for different reasons. People just sort of automatically write out the console league. But you got to forget, you can't forget that for the past couple of years, they've battled themselves. And if you tuned in for the very first SCL game years ago, these are much different players, Aggro.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I was part of that first wave of SCL players, and watching my gameplay back, it makes me nauseous. It was so bad, dude. We were not good at the very beginning, but it really did take us a while. But I think that we turned out to be a pretty solid league at the end of the day.
Rapio gets saved by the geometry right there. The Charge Prey tosses him directly into a wall. Otherwise, it would have tossed him directly into Mike the Magikarp and Death Panther. But to finish our thoughts about the console league, as the big Stevie Beefy finishes off Axios, his old replacement right here. Ratatasker in some trouble. Silence trying to find a way out. Only level 3, so no ultimate available. Hoek just going to poke him down. My main point is that these players have sat in an incubator-type system and have all really combined into being great players. Rapio actually being one of the few players that the North American teams actually were afraid of in their interviews. So Rapio certainly, it'll be interesting watching his transition into the mid lane, but I'm still excited.
And you also have to remember that most of these console players that we're talking about moving over to PC, it played initially on PC in these Challenger Cups, things like that. It's guys like Sinosure, it's guys like Chapo, Rapio as well, really known in the European ranked scene, just on PC and on the console. So I expect Rapio is going to do okay if he was in his initial role. We'll see how the role swap really affects him.
There's another Charge Prey coming out from Hoek, this time blocked against the wall, but again, it's Vatrigal to support. Even though he gets hit by Death Panther's ultimate, shouldn't be too much of a big deal. It's still all about these mid-Harpies. Looks like they were stolen away by Sickening Strike. Can I take a look at the graphs right quick to just see who it went to? And that little jut forward, it means it went to Lunatic Jesters. So
yeah,
good shot.
They needed those badly. Hoek still getting a lot of farm, though, on this Sobek. And another invade on this right-hand side. Mike the Magikarp able to steal away the second speed buff of the game. Meanwhile, Hoek in the middle lane gets a little bit too aggressive. Vastrical able to pick up the kill.
It's about time. I really got to say that. I realize it's only 4 minutes in, but we've seen this Sobek play so aggressive. And in all honesty, I'm not upset about that death on Sobek because on a god like Sobek, you play aggressive until you're taught not to. And you absolutely have to take every single Charge Prey until the other team proves, yeah, you know what, we're going to punch you in the mouth. It finally happens.
And I think that if Hoek's able to find the level 5 and get that Lurking in the Waters up before that engagement, he probably survives. Unfortunately for him, still sitting at level 4 just because of all the jungle invades.
Well, here's Vatrigal stuck. This doesn't look good for the tree. Nice hits out of everybody. And the big SB puts it on the board. All 3 kills right now on Dutch Myrmidons belong to the solo laner. 300, that can't be a good thing.
And like I mentioned right away for this drafting phase, when you get a chance to give your best player one of the strongest gods in the role, you're already asking for trouble. And that's exactly what Lunatic Jesters did by taking away the Ratatosker early on, allowing Erlang Shen to get into the hands of Zashu.
And Zashu, Stevie Beefy, he's one of these players that enjoys playing the game. He enjoys being ahead. No, that seems very silly. But think of a player like Frezzy. He's the guy that Panda-like. He's the guy that absolutely feeds off of this type of dominance. And the problem is, if you're Lunatic Jesters, this train just don't stop.
No, and he's going in right now. But Axios not going to be able to find the healing reduction. That he needed that if he was going to be able to pick up that kill. Mike the Magikarp going up into the sky, looking for him. Of course, no purification off the mark, and that's going to mean the kill is dropped. He needed to hit that ultimate to find the CC chain.
Rough stuff for the jungler out of Dutch Myrmidons, although he's level 7 right now. And a big part, we're focusing a lot on Stevie Beefy because he's the finisher. Rapio half HP, going to avoid one shot, but takes the hammer. Still finding a way out on the right-hand side. Surrounded by 2, and he's surrounded by nobody as he's the only one in the death column at the moment. 4th kill for Dutch Myrmidons. And again, the big SB.
And not only that, but it's again Hoek setting up the big SB
Exactly.
with these plucks, finding it the purification. It looks like it may have just come up there for Rapio in the middle lane. He's near a wall, which is exactly what you want to be as Giannis, but that angle not going to be able to help you out. I love the positioning from Hoek once he gets the pluck. Immediately just sits down exactly where he is in that lurking in the waters, trying to cut off that escape route. But I really would have liked to see Astracal go back in, just like they are going in on the big SB. Again, like you said, about time.
Yeah, that play has to happen at some point. Hoek again gonna get in trouble for the charge prey. Interesting to stay that long underneath the tower. He's likely to fall here. There it is, one little tail whip coming out from Silence, and the jungler quickly finds himself with 2 back-to-back kills, and that's almost enough to tie things up. Still down by about 1,000 gold here, folks, but Lunatic Jester is getting closer in the kill column.
But Silence now has a lead over Mike the Magikarp in the jungle just because of those 2 kills alone. The kill on the big SB was worth an absolute ton. He was worth so much gold, and then to find Hoek under that tower, again, just too aggressive there. He's been on point with his charge plays for the most part, but what the risk reward is not worth there.
You know what it comes down to? It comes down to a phrase I like to say. You got to play your lead. When you're ahead, you absolutely have to play your lead and be aggressive, but you can't let the lead play you. And that's exactly what we saw right there. Play the lead, be aggressive, go for the charge praise, but you let the lead play you. You hung out under the tower, you look for a tail whip after the fact, and that's just a little too much. Lunatic Jesters, as I said, they're still behind by a little bit, but that really has neutralized a heavy lead that Dutch Myrmidons had in the early game.
Especially for the big SB and Hoek. I mean, Hoek now is down a level to Vastrical in just now hitting level 7, so very, very surprising to see him play this aggressive consistently.
Right here, right-hand side, Mike the Magikarp, wall on the wrong side, so Axios will be fine, but it's all more about the blue buff play than actually looking for the gank. It's going to be a 4-on-2. Charge Prey is good this time. Vatrical stuck in the middle. Big shot coming out of the mid lane. Death Banner down from the sky comes both players, and there's the death for Vatrical out of the jungler. Other side jungler gets an answer back. 4-5 at the moment. Mike the Magikarp gets the double kill, and they're still fighting on. Big old stun coming out of Axios, but he's served up, flipped down, and served to hell. Mike the Magikarp, 3 kills in that engagement. It's 3 total.
Just way too much AoE for Lunatic Jesters to deal with at this point. The shell was down from Vastrical early on in that engagement. He gets picked off. Yes, they used 4 ultimates to find him, but they find the healer, they find the support, and then it's just Mike the Magikarp able to do whatever he wants in a team fight after that.
And these aren't, it's not as if that Dutch Myrmidons are setting up these plays, at least at this point. Earlier on they were, specifically to maximize that Thor passive, but that's what's happening. Usually this early in the game, aggro, you'll see a 2-on-2 or a 3-on-3. Dutch Myrmidons are taking 4-on-2s, 4-on-3s, and that's only amplifying that Thor passive, which is allowing Get Fisher or Mike the Magikarp to get this much damage off.
And like we mentioned for Silence, that was a great time for him to get 2 kills on 2 priority targets, but that was a great fight for Mike the Magikarp to find multiple kills, and now he's the one with the level lead. Back and forth in the jungle, but it's been in the solo lane and in the hunter role where we've seen Dutch Myrmidons consistently keep their leads regardless of the over-aggressiveness of guys like Hoek, able to keep that aggressiveness in check basically on these side lanes.
I love the build coming out from the biggest Steefy Beefy here on his Arlong Shen. Not only does he go the Witchblade to slow the basic attack and the physical power out of the Osiris, but he also has the Mark of the Vanguard, which should do the same thing. I saw you shaking your head, and we'll attack that, but right now we're going to watch Mike the Magikarp miss his attack on the mid lane. Vastrical's going to get abused one more time. Ultimate comes out. There's Giannis as well, but 2 players in the mid lane have fallen with blue on their jerseys. One's the support, and one is the jungler. Dutch Myrmidons lose none.
But it's the rotation from the big SB. Again, we've called his name time and time again so far this game. Just exactly where he needs to be at the right time, able to pick up that kill. Rom up into the sky, trying to steal away the Gold Fury, but it's not low enough quite yet. He's going to have to run away from the big SB while the rest of Dutch Myrmidons finish off this Gold Fury, extending their lead over 4,000 gold.
Steefy Beefy started off his season last year as one of the perennial rookies looking to be one of the most talked about players in the league, and then all of a sudden had the rug ripped out from under him as he suffered a ban, which, I mean, it's his own fault, right? But coming back into the league here, he has not missed a beat. Looking absolutely flawless. 5-1-4 is the slash line for the solo lane rookie right now. So is he still a rookie, or is this his sophomore year?
This is, he redshirted. He redshirted his rookie year. That's the way I look at it. Maybe not by choice, but,
Sure.
but you know, he's a redshirt freshman.
There you go. For those of you out of the know, it's a little Southern football phrase here from our sportsman himself. But at the end of the day, Stevie Beefy certainly looking not like the rookie he is and just coming out swinging. Spudio's going to be flipped up, looking like he's in no trouble, but wait until the Thor misses for the third time in a row. Somebody sub to weaken. The kill goes to Hoek, 10-4 Dutch Myrmidons.
But again, the kill goes to Hoek, and both relics used. Silence now wants to get this engagement going onto Boss, but he's got the Sanctuary. He's trying to get out. Nice knockup, only finds Hoek, though.
Banner. Here comes the big shot. Damage coming out onto the jungler. Still waiting for that ultimate. It's online. Silence gets the kill on Boz. No ult from the Ra to get the Silence to take out Silence. I really expected that.
I think he's too low on mana. Searing Pain takes a decent amount of mana in the middle lane, and without any sort of extra mana sustain available to Death Panther, he's not going to be able to fire it off.
Wow. Mike the Magikarp really, it's starting to become a problem. Once you miss a couple of those ults, it's not that big a deal depending on the scenario, but here it's becoming an issue. And Mike the Magikarp has generally been, at least when it comes to characters like Thor, sort of a stable player. You never really expect him to be the focus of the team, but he's usually very dependable. Why do you think that Mike the Magikarp's coming up short here?
I mean, like you mentioned, Ratatoskr, one of his favorite gods, taken away by Lunatic Jesters. Maybe the Thor has been in the back pocket a little bit too long, but regardless of the fact that his ults have been off point, he's still 4-0 and 5.
Exactly.
He's still able to find the poke with the wall double tap combination. He's still been getting good damage off in these team fights. He's second in the team in net worth right now. So yeah, you would like him to start hitting his Thor ults, and as we get deeper into the tournament, if they're able to move on to the semis, if they're able to move on to the finals, that's when those ultimates are going to really need to find home. But right now, it's not so bad. He's still been a part of 9 of the 10 kills for Dutch Myrmidons.
Yeah, the early Titans bait as well. But speaking about these builds, I want to go back to the Soul Lane because you were not on board. I really like the Witchblade and the Mark of the Vanguard choices, specifically against who his opponents are. Why do you feel the opposite?
So Mark of the Vanguard's picked up after Boots' supports because you have to get the most bang for your buck. You're not getting a ton of farm, and so you want to be able to get the cheapest power spikes possible. It's kind of the opposite for the solo laner, though. You're going to be getting a lot of extra farm, and so you can really afford to rush these items that are a little bit more expensive that can make a bigger impact than an item like Mark of the Vanguard. I agree with you. The Witchblade's perfect, but the Mark of the Vanguard, I'm not so sure.
Ooh, Rapio, nice Sanctuary to save his life right there. The shot from Death Panther certainly would have put him in a dangerous spot. But the Sanctuary saves him right on time, and then he deals it back. Mike the Magikarp low. Rom shot, he's got 1 out of 3, and it's just not enough to confirm it. Spudio comes up holding nothing.
And here's where the sustain comes into play. Ra has 2 items finished. He's working into some penetration right now. Mike the Magikarp, he's up into the sky. It's going to be called out. Silence trying to get up. He's going to do so up into the tree just by the skin of his teeth.
Jungle ult for Jungle ult. Good accuracy there, excuse me. Haven't used that word in a while, so glad to be able to use it with Mike the Magikarp.
But even with Mike the Magikarp splitting on this right-hand side, they still have the big SB in the middle lane, Dutch Myrmidons. So it's going to be very difficult for Lunatic Jesters to fight back into this when Stevie Beefy's here and he's this beefy.
I like that. I like that one. Mid tower is going to fall down. But I like how Mike the Magikarp shows his face behind the tier 1 tower, forcing Axios to go over there. If Axios is part of the defense force that Lunatic Jesters show in the mid lane, that tier 1 tower might not go down. So it's important to spread the map like Mike the Magikarp did. He's half HP, no mana. He doesn't want to fight, but his presence alone is going to force players out.
And they wanted to take this middle tower more so than the right-hand tower. You can use these solo tower, these tier 1 towers in the solo lane to kind of just to be a denier, a gold denier in that side, just keeping Axios there longer than he really needs to be. But in the middle lane, you want to expose gods like Giannis who have to push up a little bit farther, though he's as slippery as it gets as far as mid laners go. But guys like Vastrical on this Sylvanas, if he doesn't have that tower to run to, it's a lot easier to pick him off.
Here's the ultimate at Giannis, which means we're going to see a big rotation out of Lunatic Jesters. Stevie Beefy by himself, surrounded by 4. Knocked up and knocked down, falls into the portal, half HP still. And he's just gonna turtle shimmy his way out until he gets grabbed mid-dash. Vastrical with the accuracy of a lightning force comes through. Big ultimate at Death Panther. Stevie Beefy still alive. Damage coming out from Axios. We're going to take a look at the Gold Fury. Wow, the jungler finally puts down Stevie Beefy. He's done his job, though. He occupied the time so his team can grab the objective. Rob's not going to be able to take it. Down goes the Gold Fury. Dutch Beaverton's up 7K.
Death Panther are positioning pretty aggressively in the middle lane, trying to bait the enemy team in. Mike the Magikarp didn't have the distance there for that ultimate. Wasn't going to be able to reach anyone anyways. But you saw just how long it took Lunatic Jesters to kill the big Stevie Beefy.
You know why?
He was alive forever.
You know why?
He's pretty beefy.
Mark of the Vanguard.
I mean, sure, but don't you think he also could have lived a little bit longer if he would have finished off his Pestilence by then and already been finishing off his next item as well?
No. Mark of the Vanguard. Mark of the Vanguard. A lot of basic attacks, small little abilities being reduced by 5 damage.
5 damage.
All of them. Axios is swinging 30 times a second.
All of those
basics reduced by 5 damage.
The only thing that realistically really helped against that engagement was the ultimate and the wisps out of Vastrical. Those small
and
tip
the basic
damage.
attacks from Axios.
I mean, those aren't as affected by, the big numbers aren't affected by much. It's the little numbers.
Well, the basic
that are
attacks are generally little. It's a chainsaw character, which is why I was so excited about it. But in any event, the Gold Fury play, definitely a large play for Dutch Beaverton. 16.5 in. They're only up 4 kills. Despite their early dominance, but definitely up a lot more than that in the gold column. And Vatrigal, he's certainly down in the death column. 1, 4, and 4 for the support across the way.
Like I mentioned, Sobek into Sylvanas, it makes your life very difficult. Rapio through space and time, being shot off into the jungle, just trying to give Axios a way out. He'll use his own ultimate to make sure his life is safe, but his tier 1 tower is not. That's going to fall 17 minutes in. The tier 1 tower falls on the right-hand side. Meanwhile, it's going to be Rom, Spudio pushing down that left side, forcing the teleport out of the big Stevie Beefy.
Yeah, we've had very quiet hunters this game, which not too big of a deal when you've got so much power elsewhere. Ice Silence is going to be able to split push his way to victory, getting that mid-tier 1 tower. Death Panther on the chase, but probably nothing The Rock can do to the slippery right of Tasker. Spudio going to take the fight against the 1 level higher Stevie Beefy on that Arlong Shen. Don't think that's a good idea.
But with Silence up in the sky, he might be able to turn it. He's looking for big Stevie Beefy in this duo lane. Not going to be able to find that ultimate. And now Arlong Shen, he wants to fight.
Mike the Magikarp wants to fight as well. Very far away. Not sure if he's going to find anybody. And he doesn't. Just shows up in the mid lane. Here comes the Lunatic Jesters pushing up. But it looks like Dutch Beavertons want nothing to do with this fight, despite the fact that they have help in the back line. Here it comes. Hoek with the ultimate, gonna knock everybody around. Boss giving chase. Couple of shots on his Silence. Beautiful route coming out of Vatrigal to stunt the Hunter. And despite the fact that Death Panther lands the ultimate, it's just not enough. Not enough help here. Mike the Magikarp coming from around the backside. But Vatrigal's the tanky one. But again, it's about the objective. Tier 1 goes down.
Gotta give shout out to Spudio there. He was about to get hit by Charge Prey, but he turned around after the roll from Rom and crippled it out from Hoek right before he got hit by it. But despite the nice little mechanical play, it doesn't matter as both towers are gonna fall. I like the decision from Lunatic Jesters to split push on the right-hand side, guarantee themselves some much needed farm, but it's only gonna be the tier 1. Big SB gonna be back in time to defend the tier 2 and chase them out.
Man, Stevie Beefy. It's a pleasure to be able to watch this guy play again. Unfortunately he got banned, and that is what it is. But I'm just excited to watch this guy play. At the end of the day, his Smite is just, it's a fun style. It's not even that he's good aggro. It's that he's also just enjoyable to watch.
I agree with you, especially when he gets these super pressure gods in the solo lane like the Arlong Shen. And it was kind of the same vein as we saw Cope on the NA side for his team, Town USA, last weekend in the open bracket. He was playing this Arlong Shen consistently, and that was the god that he really started to look like a real professional on.
Okay. I mean...
My man Cope was carrying on Arlong last weekend, Tom.
Sure.
Carrying.
I'll give you the sure. I'll take it. Cope put in his work, but Stevie Beefy, I think, is a different level. Again, going back to the comparison of Panda, like, Stevie Beefy is the guy that's going to taunt you and then destroy you. Vatrigal here caught between, 3 players in a bad spot. Ultimate out of Mike the Magikarp.
Ooh, the portal. That was a really good portal there from Rapio. It's the first time we've seen him be able... Tom, you all right there?
Totally okay. That's a beautiful portal. Vatrigal and Rapio just tricked everyone. They tricked Dutch Beavertons. They tricked the team next in the bracket. They tricked the viewers. Fire Giant being started by DM. Dutch Myrmidons, that is. And they're on the right side of the map. Gonna pull back as they see the ultimate come out of the Ratatasker. So no cookie right there for the Rat to steal. Fire Giant started up again, about 75% HP. Vastrigal going to be victim to charge prey. Not a big deal. Mike the Magikarp going to look. Gets stunned out. There he is, knocked up. There's the ultimate out of Rapio. He'll be rotating soon. But Vastrigal already toasted before the fight begins.
Boss has to use Airstrike though, but Rapio's the one in trouble, way too far forward. Both relics used. He is going to find an exit via portal through the speed buff, but again, the sustain from Death Panther just too strong on this Raw. All that poke, all gone already, just from one Solar Blessing.
Very, very rough stuff for Lunatic Jesters. Looking up at almost 10,000, about 8,000. Here comes the Fire Giant. It gets taken away. Dutch Myrmidons do secure it. Mike the Magikarp heads to the sky, trying to fuse his target. Lands directly on Vastrigal, and he's gone. 6-0-5 for the jungler.
Oh,
Silence still in trouble. But the wall.
The wall helps out his the other team for once. Spuddio up in the sky, looking to snipe out Hoak, finds 2 of 3, but not quite enough damage to finish him off. The Sobek just too tanky at this point in the game. Level 14, he's got a bunch of items. The wall didn't stop the big SB from chasing Silence all the way down to his left side, Phoenix.
And that's what I'm talking about when I say he's got that flair. You're not going to be able to disrespect him because he's too busy disrespecting you. The big SB. The biggest proponent of the disrespeckies.
Shout-outs to Peckies.
Shout out to Peckies. You know, up until maybe Super Regionals, I think we ended every broadcast with a thank you to Peckies.
I missed Peckies. I'm so glad he's sitting back there, part of the team again. It was dark days without him.
So Rapio here trying to shine light on his own team's dark day on Lunatic Jesters. We were talking about how we were a little bit afraid of his rotation from the jungle into the mid lane. I like that he's playing Giannis because one of the things that you see assassin players sort of suffer from, especially when they switch to mages, is the fact that they're so much more susceptible to death. Well, Rapio doesn't have a dash, but he can literally walk through walls so the Gold Fury goes down, bringing us to 11,000 lead for Dutch Myrmidons. I'm very curious to see how well Rapio does off of the Giannis.
I agree with you. Giannis is one of the gods that mid laners really need that map awareness of. You have to really be looking at the entire map all the time, understanding where your portal needs to be to help out your team or anything along that nature.
Nice.
Hoak going to take a little bit of poke under the tower, but again, the sustain from Fire Giant buff as well as Death Panther.
Probably
Yeah.
Poor
He's just been getting
Vastrigal.
crushed.
Dutch Myrmidons are just coming out here like Dutch lumberjacks and just going directly for the poor support. Silence gets the ultimate, but he's all by himself. Nobody's there for the backup. In fact, here comes Mike the Magikarp, dealing the punishment. Gonna land right on down, stunning 2. One finds an exit, one of them being Vastrigal. Rom still looking for the accuracy, just can't find it.
Not quite enough, and it's again Zashu on the front line, just keeping everyone out. Boss getting very low, but it's Spuddio plucked back in. Sanctuary gonna buy him a little bit of time. Nice pull from Vastrigal, keeps Hoak underneath that Phoenix. He's gonna be the first to fall.
Silence and Axios, very important what they're doing here. Everything looks like it's coming up Millhouse for Dutch Myrmidons, but you have your jungler and your frontline solo laner playing up, making sure that the Dutch Myrmidons aren't able to penetrate that back line. So important. Chasing into this jungle, I'm not too sure.
And Boss is going to make Axio sure that he's going to go back to base. The first kill for either of the Hunters in this game. We're basically 24 minutes in. That's the first time we've seen one of the Hunters make an impact on the kill lead.
So right there, you know, I'm just a commentator, and hindsight's 20/20. But I'm sitting there, and so Lunatic Jesters are afraid of Dutch Myrmidons being able to retreat and heal up with the raw heal. You have a fountain. You have a fountain. The Fire Giant's dead. No reason for Lunatic Jesters to go into the jungle like that.
I agree with you. You got to take the wins when you get them. When you're down by this level of gold, you just have to say, okay, we defended, we bought ourselves a couple extra minutes. Let's back, let's buy our items, let's try and get some power spikes so that we can take in the next fight, and then the next fight after that, because that's how many you really realistically have to take when you're this far behind. You're 14,000 gold down. You're 14,000 experience down. Take the pick that you got and go home happy.
And with the Phoenixes all still up, all you're playing for is the stop.
Yes.
You're not even playing to win that team fight. You're playing for the stop. You got the stop. They have a Fire Giant and a 14,000 gold lead on us. The fact that we made them walk away is a win in and of itself. Right now, Dutch Myrmidons doubling the 7 kills that Lunatic Jesters have right now. Keep in mind, this is not a series. This is a single game set, and the winner of this moves on to a best of 3 in the semifinals against Last Minute Monsters, the team led by Half Devil.
And remember, these are where in decisions like that, that's where Challenger Cup teams really struggle, that they really have their tough times. Rapio barely able to find the angle there to get out through space and time.
Talk about the map the map ideas, though. If he uses a regular portal and walk into that, he walks in directly to the rest of the Dutch Myrmidons. He understands that he has to use the ultimate. I'm seeing shining lights for Rapio. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to be moving on at this moment, only 25 minutes in, so there is more Smite to be played. But Rapio, I'm very, I want to see how he matures.
Also top damage in the game right now, which is not something you usually say about Giannis at 25 minutes. He's more of a, utility character for the most part. Unstable Vortex does a butt ton of damage. Don't get me wrong.
He's got the classic do more with do more.
Do more, boys. We really out here doing damage.
I love do more. Risk versus reward. Rapio comes into his first, maybe second performance here as a console player on the PC, and he's like, you know what? All in. Do more right away. Dutch Myrmidons take away the Fire Giant right away. No contest from Lunatic Jesters. A little bit surprising there. Usually you'll see no contest come out when the teams have to defend their lanes against Fire Minions, but without the Fire Minion pressure, I'm very curious why we didn't at least see a throwaway death by Silenced.
But because if they lose one there, then all their Phoenixes go down, basically. They have to use the defense capabilities of this Phoenix. They have to defend, they have to rely on a sixth member, the Phoenix, to really do enough damage.
Not even the ult at Rapio, though? Very curious to see no roll of the dice. But in any event, served up one more time is going to be Vastrigal. The support still the focus, 25% on him. Here comes the help from the Ratatasker from the sky. Beautiful knockup, going to catch three. Rapio's ult catches many as well. Spudio needs to hit these, only hits one. Mike the Magikarp, however, hits a bunch. He gets two for his efforts. Boz grabs one, 3 dead on the side of LJ. That's going to be 4. Boz takes him out. This should be a Phoenix and a Titan aggro.
Love the Wrath stun there from the big SB right before Spudio was going to get into that fountain. Now Rapio walled off. Sanctuary doesn't matter. 5 dead. Deicide the way of Dutch Myrmidons, and they're moving on to the semifinals.
Absolutely earned their way to the semifinals, and you gotta salute the captain. I don't know if he's the captain or not, but he's certainly steering this ship. When you look at Mike the Magikarp slash line 8-0 and 8, you kind of got to say, well, Thor, you did a great job. But Steefy, Beefy, and Hoek were really the enablers the majority of the time.
The majority of the time, yes, but like we mentioned, they both have to be a little bit careful moving on to these really experienced Challenger Cup teams. Going for Plucks under tower.
Yeah.
Not usually the best plan, but overall, you got to give shout outs. They had their game plan and they executed it perfectly. Let's fight early on the right-hand side. Let's rush the Traveler's Shoes so that we can fight better. Hoek really on point, setting up a lot of those early kills. And like you mentioned, the big SB just doing whatever he wanted on that right-hand side, really getting that lead rolling for Dutch Myrmidons.
Exactly. The team fights, a lot of them, even with a couple of missed ultimates, Mike the Magikarp was a big part of those team fights. But again, I think it's the next level when you want to look at what Steefy Beefy did there. Sure, he beat his opponent up in lane and everything, but traversing around the map, forcing the split push out of some of his opponents really allowed his team to get some of the objectives. We saw Steefy Beefy deal 1-on-4 on the right side, which meant a free Gold Fury. A lot of those smaller to notice plays coming out from SB, despite the fact that he was 7-2 plus a wealth of assists. It's the way he used the map against his opposition.
And not only that, but it opens up the left-hand side for Boss to just free farm, basically. And he had a level or 2-level lead the entire game. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that, you're winning the game on the other side of the map and you can get Gold Furies for free. But it's so important to just play safe whenever you're winning one side of the lane, one side of the map so hard. No reason to throw your lead on the left side. So I like the play from Boss as well. And then he comes in and picks up late game kills. It's almost like that's exactly what hunters are supposed to do. Just wait until you get 5 or 6 items and then just roll through a team fight.
Shining notes across the way, however, Dutch Myrmidons certainly, I think, really took the... They did very well against Lunatic Jesters, but there were some really nice notes. Silas and Rapio specifically, I think. Rapio had high damage, but was relatively low impact outside of a couple of safety portals. But I silenced on that Ratatasker. I mean, if there was a player that tried to carry his team through this lashing, it was the Ratatasker. You saw him come through every team fight.
The mid-jungle synergy there for the Lunatic Jesters definitely is one of the shining moments that we saw there. And even in that last team fight that almost went really, really great for them on the defense of the right side Phoenix, it's coming crashing down with the knockup immediately into through space and time from Rapio. And that's sort of working together that you really need if you're going to make a late game comeback. Unfortunately, if they were 11,000 gold behind, they probably win that team fight.
Sure.
They were like 16,000 gold behind, so it's a little bit more difficult to do so. But a couple shining stars, like you mentioned, for the Lunatic Jesters.
Last Minute Monsters, however, coming up next, they'll be taking on Dutch Myrmidons. You're always thinking ahead, aggro. Lunatic Jesters, unfortunately, will fall to the wayside, but as we said, next up, semifinals, best of 3, Dutch Myrmidons versus Last Minute Monsters. That's Half Devil's team versus Steefy Beefy. We'll be right back with some more SPL. Dutch Myrmidons topple Lunatic Jesters right there in our last matchup as we're going to head into Last Minute Monsters. Something fun I wanted to note, if you weren't just sitting there staring at the bracket for the last couple of minutes like me and Aggro were.
We were.
Last Minute Monsters played against Last Minute Leftovers.
Well, clearly the Monsters topped the Leftovers.
Someone had to eat them.
Must have been like some, what's a
Stop.
bad
Oh,
leftover?
no.
Like Chinese leftovers are pretty good.
Chinese leftovers rule. How about
Pizza
leftover meatloaf? That can go either way.
Yeah, you don't want to go with that. Yeah, there were some leftover meatloaf today.
Either way, Last Minute Monsters, as hot as the leftovers were cold out of the fridge, they're going to be up against Dutch Myrmidons, and we'll see what kind of appetite either of these teams have.
I'm really looking forward to the mid lane matchup here, and that's going to be Mr. Stefan versus Death Panther. I mean, we talked so much about the big SB and then Mike the Magikarp and even Boss in that last game, Hoek as well. But it was the raw player, Death Panther, that kind of slid under the radar, and that's because of the majority of the setup that he was getting for his team. That's a CC-heavy composition that he's able to really do his job fairly easily with. But Mr. Stefan is the standout player for me for Last Minute Monsters, and he's going to be the one, along with Half Devil, that's really going to set the tone for them. And I'm interested to see, are they going to give him Vulcan? He's known for his Vulcan play, and then can he really make the plays to push Last Minute Monsters up into the finals?
Yeah, I really want to see Mr. Stefan step up and become Mr. Stefan in this series. It's very important for that mid lane to really bring it. Rebound versus, when you look at the individual matchup, Rebound is going to be the solo laner for this team. I think he's going to have a tall order to topple Steefy Beefy, and then even Hestrix going up against Mike the Magikarp. I think these guys are probably similarly skilled, but because jungle is such a position that is dependent on your other team and and vice versa, I think Mike the Magikarp has a leg up in that position as well. When you gank a lane as a jungler, it's never one-on-one. It's you and your teammate versus the target, and I just think that the supporting cast around Mike the Magikarp a little bit stronger than what Hestrix has.
That's true, but we did see Last Minute Monsters in the finals last week, so you know they're going to be able to use that experience that they gained up against Variety's new team, even if that series wasn't particularly close.
Sure.
Going to try and make sure that they're getting there again and securing that spot into the relegations next week.
Very true. We'll see if that experience posed well for the picks and bans as we get right into it. Relegations here. It's week number 2 of our European Open bracket. Just to give you guys the bigger picture, this will be a best of 3 as we are in the semifinals. The finals will be as well. And then the winners of this will tally up their points per last week. And then coming up later, we'll see, not later in the day, but later on in the weeks and the months, we'll see the round robin against some of the lower-end SPL teams. So that's what we're all watching for. These teams that you see right here, in fact, Dutch Myrmidons and Last Minute Monsters might be the teams that play in your SPL this spring split. So you definitely want to keep an eye on who's playing and who's not playing. Zeus, Jingwei, and Rat not playing today.
Very surprised we don't see a Nike ban yet. I don't think we saw a Nike ban in the last game either, and it wasn't selected. That really surprised me. Haven't seen one yet. There it is. Dutch Myrmidons making the play.
Yeah, Nike usually on the second team because she is first pick potential here these days. Last Minute Monsters, or just the Minute Monsters, depending on how you want to say it. First pick going their direction. How do you feel?
Sylvanas. Thanatos. Okay, Thanatos.
My man.
How excited are you that Thanatos is first pick?
That's
material?
my Manitos.
Just can't. I just can't do it. Yeah,
Thanatos is going to be a fantastic pick against some of the tankier characters on Dutch Myrmidons. We'll see. Arlong Shen is actually a fantastic choice against Thanatos because of the heal.
But again, it's giving the big SB Erlong Shen. And this is the god that he's looked so good on.
Sure.
The Jingwei ban against Bosch, sure, we've seen him play that this week and last week, but just giving the big SB, again, the best player on Dutch Myrmidons, his best character is an easy recipe to go down 0-1.
And it's not even just the Arlong Shen, it's the Arlong Shen next to the Ra. We were talking about how mid laner Death Panther sort of went underneath the table because of how easy it was to hit those abilities. Well, Arlong Shen, certainly the guy that's going to make that easy. So you've got the Eager combo, as I think a lot of people have taken to calling it. Kronos will be the likely hunter across the way, although mid lane's certainly a thing. And then Capri, I think we'll see Capri support.
Yeah, I like this Khepri pick because it gives Chronos a third life. We saw just how potent that was for energy at the World Finals. This was a duo lane that they ran really consistently, was Chronos Khepri. It's so difficult to punch through the Rewind and the Scarab's Blessing, as well as the fact that Thanatos is a character that can go really deep into a team fight and really make use of that revive.
Exactly what I was going to say. If you go back to Lich versus ALG, one of the more iconic matches that if you missed SWC at HRX, certainly want to go watch and check that out on our archive videos. But Khepri allowing Thanatos, what a lot of the times is you see Thanatos start the team fight, and now it's a 5-on-4, but the team collapses and makes it a 4-on-4. Khepri stops that. Sobek will be certainly looking for the backline here in Dutch Myrmidons. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
This is 3 out of the 5 characters that we saw Dutch Myrmidons play last match in their quarterfinals.
And I like it. You're already on a roll, like we mentioned. There's sometimes a downtime between these games, so it's difficult to keep your momentum going.
Sure.
But when you're picking the exact same composition, it's very easy to do so.
You asked for it.
Yeah, love these bands. We saw Mr. Stefan play Thoth last week, and then it's Vulcan. Those are the 2 gods he's really known for. Taking both of those away, heads up bands there by Dutch Myrmidons, clearly doing their homework.
Meanwhile, homework on the other side as well. I love the attention. The Jingwei band, I would have liked to see. If that Jingwei band was an Arlong Shen band, I think this would have been a perfect band phase.
Sure.
I love the attention onto Mike the Magic Carp. Mike the Magic Carp is a great, he's a good to great player depending on the day, but his god pool tends to be a little bit smaller. So here you take away his Awelish, his Naja, his Ratatasker, and he went 808 on the Thor, but you saw the holes in his gameplay. And that's what last minute monsters are looking for. They're like, hey, we understand you're above average player, but as long as we can stretch that god pool to the ends of the earth, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. They saw the Thor ults, and they're kind of daring him to do it again, because after, like you mentioned, you're 8-0 and 8, but you're like, man, I missed a lot that last game. Maybe I want to change it up, play something different. Now, I don't know if he's going to have the choice. Thor, one of the best junglers available still.
Kugel Khan, the selection for the mid lane right here. You were talking about Mr. Stefan or Mr. Stefan, depending on how his game goes. Kugel Khan, and there's a Thor selection. What are you expecting out of this dragon?
Long range setup, basically. You've got the Thanatos. It might not be used for the execute in the early game. Really use the Spirit of the Nine Winds as the execute because it can be used. So it does so much damage even early on. And then that Eagles Rally, the long range route, the long range CC capabilities aren't great for minute monsters, but they're going to be able to find some. That Solar Flare is, I think, going to be the big one. Laying down that Tornado on top of that long range Khepri route from Half Devil. And like I mentioned, these are the 2 I'm really looking at. Half Devil, Mr. Stefan. How well are they going to be able to work together to synergize?
Yeah, it's going to be a big point, especially in the early game. Hestrix as well. Charge Prey one more time. We saw this last game. Dutch Myrmidons starting things off with a bang. Hoek very low, however. Hestrix going to run out as well. The big SB runs away, and much ado about nothing.
I don't know about nothing. Both shells used on each side, but it's the purification there used by Hestrix. But you got to give shout out to his itemization choices, going for the reinforced Greaves right away. That absolutely saves his life there. If he's got Bumbas, if he's got Death's Toll, if he's got any sort of starter item, he's going to die in that situation almost certainly. Or you also have to give shout out to the Rising Dawn from Half Devil, giving that damage mitigation as well. Just so much damage mitigation in that initial engagement. You've got the boots, you've got the shell, and then you've got the Rising Dawn, all working to keep Hestrix alive.
So I don't dislike the boots choice here coming out from Hestrix. Dutch Myrmidons gonna go ahead and invade one more time. If you've got the Sobek and the Thor, really, why not? Well, that's why not, because the enemy has the Wrath. Speed buff will be confirmed by last minute monsters. However, the blue buff will likely go the way of Dutch Myrmidons.
Using that stun on Wrath very effectively there, making sure that he stuns out the big SB, securing that for Hestrix. And the buff is nice and all, but it's really about the farm that guarantees for your jungler and your solo laner.
So here's my thing about the Thanatos choice, about the Thanatos itemization choice. I actually like the tank boots, believe it or not. Thanatos' ability to scale at 60%, but you're guaranteed 10% of the enemy's HP off of that Death Scythe. So it's not really like you're losing much by going Warrior Tabby or a different direction. However, the lack of Bumba's mask does concern me a little bit. Do you expect to see him pick it up a little bit later, or is he just committed to this gameplay style?
I think he will pick it up right after he backs. He's going to wait for that 800 gold, pick it up. And it's not only for the heal, because you really don't need it that much on Thanatos, but it's the sharing capabilities, yeah.
Right here, last minute monsters want to share their enemy's jungle. Great pluck! That's first blood, and it's on a Thanatos. Hestrix takes down the big SB. And Last Minute Monsters, they play aggressively, and it pays off. Blue buff also going their direction just a minute into the game, and while Dutch Myrmidons were the ones experiencing this good early lead last game, this time around it belongs to LMM.
And again, I'd like to see Boss play passively on this left-hand side, because if he dies early in this lane to Cosmic or a gank from Hestrix, that's going to really get Kronos closer to his late game, and that's where he really starts to outshine Soul.
Well, I actually agree with you on the Kronos point, but Soul almost has to play aggressively. She's got that wave clear built into her kit. That's kind of why you pick her, to push up in the lane.
But it's also for that mid to late game capability of a great tower push and excellent AoE team fight, which is something that I think Dutch Myrmidons would have been lacking without a character like Soul. A lot of single target damage right now for Dutch Myrmidons.
Sure.
Out of the big SP, Death Panther, likely a single target, though, if you can kind of get lucky with some Celestial Beams every once in a while. But overall, I think that they're really drafting this Soul for the team fighting phase, whereas Cosmic's trying to come in the late game and just win the game by himself.
Yeah, that's a big point right there. Beautiful grab coming out from Kepri one more time. Hoek takes a big chunk. He's able to heal it up just a little bit.
And there you go. It's the setup from Half Devil, pulling Hoek into the tornado, forcing out the shell yet again. The Death Scythe doing a ton of damage. Love the play out of Half Devil so far. Like it was Hoek setting everything up for Dutch Myrmidons last game. It's on this side. It's Half Devil setting it all up for Last Minute Monsters.
And if you didn't trust me, you saw the chunk that the Thanatos got thanks to the Death Scythe. Tank boots are not certainly still going to swing for a zillion. And yeah, he did go the Bumba's Mask. That was really the important point. I wanted to make sure they picked that up, because you just share too much in this meta game, if you will. In this current iteration of SMITE in Season 3, you just share too much to not get Bumba's Mask.
Bumba's creates gold out of thin air whenever
Exactly.
you share. It really does, and so it's just way too inefficient to not pick it up. And like you mentioned, you're not really missing too much damage by going for it, because the scaling on Thanatos' abilities are good, but
60
not
is good, but
out of not out of control. I'd really like to see Hestrix pick up the Shield of Regrowth that we've seen consistently from Thanatos players' second item, just giving him a little bit of power, a little bit of protection, but that movement speed that allows him to get around the map very easily, as well as some cooldown reduction.
You're like Tom Cruise in Days of Thunder. There's just no stopping you. You're just so fast.
Really? That's like, there was so many other references you could have gone for there, and that was not the one I was expecting.
1 for 1. Mid Harpy stolen thanks to the ultimate out of Death Panther. Dutch Myrmidon's able to take one away with the ult. The other goes to Last Minute Monsters, so nice little trade. Ooh, Mike the Magikarp thought he was going to go to the sky. This would be a great opportunity for him, but he wants to finish off this mid Harpy camp. Finally gets it down.
Yeah, very lucky there for Mr. Stefan, and he's getting away with a very greedy build path right now, going immediately for the Soul Reliquary on the left-hand side. Cosmic forced to ult, but now he's got all his cooldowns back up. Ba's gonna have to use a Sanctuary. But Cosmic gonna get very low, but survive for now, and that's the big thing, is that he's surviving in this lane.
Right side map, still looking for the team fight about the Gremlins, it looks like. Nice ultimate out of Stevie Beefy, but Half Devil ults himself. Mike the Magikarp in the sky, takes down Half Devil with the damage from the ult. Hestrix looking for a target, lands on Stevie Beefy. Probably the worst target to choose from. Mike the Magikarp's gonna find it, and there's the ultimate out of the mid laner. Whiff! Nothing getting for it, but Mr. Stefan makes up for his misdeeds, taking out Hoex. Hestrix waiting for the cooldown. Where's Death Scythe? Can't find it. Needs to kill.
Oh, he got him!
And there's the Thanatos passive. Back up to half HP. He's not a threat any longer. 4-1. Last Minute Monsters leading by 1,000.
Wow, that was a really impressive play out of Hestrix there. He almost got in a lot of trouble because he wasn't able to secure the last hit on the character that was low health. If he was able to use that silence, pick up that kill, you saw how much of a burst heal you get as Thanatos whenever you're able to pick up a kill. But there, juking around half HP, gotta give shoutouts to his team, keeping Big Stevie Beefy at bay. Cosmic would have to take a trip back to the base, but Hestrix just juking out for so long, and then the Death Scythe on the moving target.
Yep.
Erlongshed's pretty quick in that little turtle guy. I mean, he's waddling around as fast as he possibly can, but it doesn't matter. Hestrix finds him with the Death Scythe. Really, really great play out of the jungler so far from Last Minute Monsters. 2-0-2. He's been a part of every single kill so far.
So we've seen Hestrix, not just in this tournament last week, but also, I mean, he's a Challenger Cup player that if you pay attention to the Challenger Cup, you're familiar with him. I know that he logged the hours on the Thanatos. That's a play, and if you didn't know, that's a play that makes you understand that he's logged the hours on Thanatos. It's very, Thanatos, the way he heals up with his abilities, especially the passive, it's very difficult to really get that ingrained in your mind. Also, shout shouts to the, I don't know if it's a recent change, but once upon a time, he wouldn't have been able to cast that Death Scythe. They've recently changed the way that works.
I was just thinking about that. It used to be a % of your max HP to use every single one of your abilities. That's why Thanatos, one of the least mana hungry characters in the game, he's not only using mana, he's using part of his health pool as well, but now it's % of your current HP. So you're able, even when you're very low health, to use those abilities and make big plays just like that.
So when you have 2 HP, you go to 1. Because I'm pretty sure he was at 2 or 1.
Wow, Big SB uses the Blessing ultimate in panic, basically, just hearing Hestrix pop Scent of Death, trying to make sure he wasn't going to get chunked down by a Death Scythe right away. So this means that Rebound is going to have a lot of CC potential on this right-hand side. You can see Hestrix probably going to stick around there a little bit longer.
I don't even mind that play, in all honesty, because he's just looking for the heal. The taunt is almost like icing on the cake half the time when it comes down to that ultimate out of the Arlong Shen. So he gets the heal. He knows that he's not going to be a target for the ultimate after the Death Scythe combination right there. I think that's exactly the play that Stevie Beefy needed to make.
He was just a little bit too far away, I think, Hestrix, to find that Death Scythe, but you're right. I mean, it's all about that heal. We see Erlong Shens consistently use that in lane, basically every time it comes off cooldown, to just get that burst heal, because Erlong Shen, unlike a lot of other solo laners, doesn't have that sustain option built into his kit. He really relies on the double Death Toll procs with his passive in the dog, as well as that ultimate to stay healthy in lane.
Interestingly enough, Aggro, this is almost a slower pace, I think, than the last game. We repeatedly saw Hoek kind of just force these engagements last time around because they wanted to play this up-tempo sort of game.
Without a doubt. He's going up tempo right now, looking for Cosmic. He's going to fall. Great gank there from Mike the Magikarp, able to find the ultimate that time around. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Cosmic needs to play passively in this lane and just kind of wait it out, because Boss, if he's able to get a lead, that's when the Chronos Soul matchup starts to tilt a little bit in Soul's favor. It's not until Chronos finishes multiple items that he's able to really take those trades effectively.
Dutch Myrmidons looking like they're positioning for the Gold Fury. Hestrix used the purification way after the fact. Half HP thanks to Death Panner. Looking for the heal. You see this all the time with Thanatos players. Heal so much off of these jungle camps. The passive combined with the Death Scythe and, of course, the Bummas. He's full HP.
And you see the movement speed coming into big play there as well. It is the Shield of Regrowth picked up right after those Boots and Bumbas combination for the Thanatos player. Just getting that extra movement speed, the CDR. But yeah, Hestrix, that's the second time we've seen that, I believe. He got plucked early on in the before the minion spawn. Used purification midair. He's got to be a little bit quicker with that relic usage. It's one of the things that really separates the decent players from the really, really good ones, is quick timing on relics.
Sometimes you can sort of blame it on, well, I was worried about the follow-up CC. But if you look across the way, the only follow-up CC really is going to be Mike the Magikarp, and he's going to block you out anyway, even if you don't get stunned. So definitely something to take a look at there as far as Hestrix is concerned in his performance.
Now he's going for the Mark of the Vanguard right after that Shield of Regrowth, kind of taking a page out of Stevie Beefy's book last game, just trying to get a little bit of extra tankiness, really relying on that % damage from Death Scythe, as well as that hovering Death Execute. I think I would have preferred to see him go into a little bit more damage at this stage in the game. He's got a decent lead right now. He's up a little bit on the rest of the game. Him and Mike the Magikarp are right there, 2 and 3 in net worth, but he's got enough gold that he could have really invested in some damage options right now. Mark of the Vanguard just going to delay his build a little bit longer than necessary, I think.
Yeah, I'm not as big a fan of the Mark of the Vanguard as I was last game. There was a lot of periodic damage ticks. That's a dead character.
Wow. There he went. Mr. Steffen flattens Hoek with Spirit of the Nine Winds. Shell never even got a chance to be used there. And again, it's Half Devil just finding these setups. So you don't think of Khepri as that setup sort of guardian. He's the protective one. He's the true guardian. But right now, it's Half Devil being the initiator from a distance with these roots.
Feels Hoek, man. Gold's Fury goes down very quickly. Last Minute Monsters takes that. And they'll catapult up just shy of 2,000 gold in the lead. 5-3 with the kills. As we just passed the alarm clock for the Fire Giant, 10.5 on the clock, 1,800 specifically in the lead. And, you know, going back to what you were saying about Half Devil, I mean, this is his gameplay style. He's always going to be looking for those initiations. And with how long that Abduct is, it's just a perfect setup for Mr. Steffen.
Exactly. We talked about the setup CC for Mr. Steffen on this Kukulkan. Hoek here is checking to see if he's got enough setup behind him to use that pluck, but just going to be able to get a little bit of poke on the Rebound before they back up. Speed buff, it looks like it was stolen away, actually. Did Rebound snag that with the Scourge? No, Mike the Magikarp Looks like he might be going to pick it up now. No, it was stolen away. So buffs traded out. The big SB didn't rotate for that Gold Fury fight, but was able to pick up the blue buff on the right-hand side. So rebound steals away that speed.
You were talking about this dual lane before aggro, and right now, well, you're looking like Miss Cleo. 14, excuse me, versus the level 11 Chronos right here, and Soul just has complete control of this lane, which is why you see Mr. Stefan forced to come over. Gonna drop everything. The ultimate will miss, but the slow and the tornado work, but Boss just doesn't care. He's not paying attention. He gets the kill until his jungler comes along and Mr. Stefan gets the kill.
Really great rotation, but it's Boss making the plays there in that duo lane, able to turn around onto Cosmic. Mr. Stefan, he's gonna get deleted. Death Panther all the way from the jungle, able to pick him up with that snipe.
The tail end of that ability picks it up. Half Devil likely to be in trouble as well. The turnaround was his demise. The big Stevie Beefy puts himself on the board for the first time this game. 1 kill, 2 deaths, 2 assists for the young solo laner, but he trades out his tower for that rotation.
The teleport is down. He used it to get to that fight on the left-hand side. Rebound, able to pick up the tower in response. Like you mentioned, red buff going to get invaded by Dutch Myrmidons, but again, it's Cosmic is really the way into this game for Dutch Myrmidons. He has been consistently. He's half of the team's kills, 3 deaths. That's half of Dutch Myrmidons' 6 kills, like I mentioned, and just really needs to play a little bit safer in this lane. And going for this Book of Thoth right after Boots, it's just such a slow power curve to really extend Chronos' already fairly slow power curve.
So I don't mind the slow power curve being in the dual lane if you're gonna hide there and play safe like you were suggesting, but he's taking the fights against the Soul, and this is where a lot of times you've heard me argue that itemization is maybe not the headline of these games, but this is one of those situations where you absolutely have to dissect the builds. If you're playing the Chronos, you got to see the Pythagorum's piece into the Boots and say, this is an earlier start that I have stacking my book. I absolutely have to pump the brakes, and we just didn't see that play at a Cosmic. It's 15-13 as far as the levels are concerned.
Yeah, and really Cosmic could have just taken what Boss was doing and copied it, because I love the Pythags pickup with this much magical damage. Death Panther so low under the middle tower. He may fall here.
The heal is good, but he stands and just sidesteps the ultimate. Ultimately, it's going to be Hestrix that takes down Death Panther. Mr. Stefan gets saved by Half Devil. There's going to be a wall coming out of the jungle, but it's just not enough.
Oh,
and a
the
beautiful
silence.
grab by Half Devil to take away his opponent.
And now Cosmic's made the rotation. He's picking up Mike the Magikarp. Nowhere to go for him. Hestrix, Mr. Stefan, deep in the enemy jungle, trying to stay alive. Big SB forced to try and get the heal off. The Wrath Stun's going to guarantee he does. Mr. Stefan so low, but plucked again. Hoek not going to be able to find him either. Half Devil is just making plays.
This entire team fight brought to you by Half Devil. He saves 3 separate teammates directly with Abduct, and then he saves even more indirectly. I guess it's still directly with the help of Rising Dawn. Big plays coming out of the Khepri player right here. Last minute monsters lose at least 2 to 3 players in that team fight if Half Devil is not as strong as he proved to be right there. Hats off to the support, but more importantly, we just spent the last, I guess, minute and a half really sort of lamenting Cosmic's play here.
Yep.
Those 2 kills, similar to the last game where a single play got both of our junglers back in the game, that single play brings Cosmic right back into the arena.
So important. Now he's only 100 gold down from Boss, who's really been dominant over here. On the right-hand side, Big SB trying to invade this blue yet again, but it's going to be Rebound, able to use the Wrath there. And you got to give shout-outs to Big SB's the only one who survived that team fight on Dutch Myrmidons. It was the frame-perfect Wrath to keep him from getting auto-attacked by Rebound at 1 HP to allow his heal to go off. Really hard to play from him. Oh, a little bit off the mark there by Mr. Stefan. It may not matter. Yeah, Eagles Rally going to secure this kill onto the Big SB. Without Gold Fury up, no real response available for Dutch Myrmidons.
Yeah, it's one of those, if you miss an ult in the forest, does anybody know? Absolutely.
Yeah,
not.
he knows. He made the call out to his team. Yeah, that's Kukulkan ult. That's Bologna ult. Why didn't anyone rotate? That's usually what you hear.
You see a little bit more damage on Hestrix. He's got the Titan's Bane.
Yeah, going for that percent pen, it really pairs well with the Scent of Death flat pen that you're going to have. Half Devil, he's in a bad spot now. Cut off very nicely there by Mike the Magikarp. Hoek under the waters. Half Devil does have ultimate, but he's going to save it very, very nicely there.
Still looking for more. Mike the Magikarp takes out the support, gets the double un. It's 2 for the young jungler out of the UK. Mike the Magikarp playing well here in our semifinals. Level 14 on him across the way, level 15 on the Thanatos, but the impact has been the same. Cosmic doesn't know what playing back means. He's going to push up on the tier 1 to tier 2 tower.
Where was Mr. Stefan in that engagement as well? Really odd kind of positioning there from Last Minute Monsters. Now Rebound playing very aggressively when he's getting no rotations at all. No one's coming to help him anytime soon.
Slowed, stunned, thrown. Here he's going to jump forward and meet up with his teammates. That was a slippery mid laner right there. Dutch Mirrodin starting the Gold Fury.
Gonna get it pretty low here. Wrath is available only for the big SB, but Mr. Stefan has the ultimate. He's ready to fire it, but it's going to go the way of Dutch Mirrodin's Wrath there. Big SB securing it for his squad.
Actually, let's take a look at the... Yes, okay, Dutch Mirrodins do secure it. I wasn't too sure because I saw a rebound in the middle of everything, and you never quite know.
Especially with that tornado already ticking there. Speaking of ticking, time's ticking right now for Big SB as Cosmic doing a decent amount of damage, but not able to find the big stun there, and that's going to be the difference maker.
Dutch Mirrodin's trying to play back a little bit. Last Minute Monsters, excuse me, gonna get this tier 2 tower likely for free. You never really want to fight on the tier 2 towers. You generally see teams fight on the Phoenixes. Is it about the choke point, or is it something else?
That's exactly what it is. You have a very quick window into the jungle that can really give you a decent escape route and really choke up the other team that's chasing you, because Mr. Stefan can kind of bait you in and then just turn around and fire that Spirit of the Nine Winds and basically flatten your entire team, and that's exactly why. Plus, that tower was so low already because of the split push coming out of Cosmic that there was really no way the Dutch Mirrodins are going to be able to defend that either way.
OX the target, brought down to half before he dashes away. 5 players in blue, marching up the middle lane. Nobody's going to get hit by Spirit of the Nine Winds, but everybody's going to get hit by Mike the Magikarp. 3-man stun. It's looking perfect. There's a great stun setting up Death Panther. The mid laner finds his second kill of the game. Dutch Mirrodin still on the chase. Everybody looking towards the mid lane. There's a little bit of slow coming out from Soul, but that seems to be it. Dutch Mirrodins get 1 kill, chase the opponent off of their front yard, and now we're looking for the next objective, which could be a Firebird.
Yeah, the Phoenix here, and again, the sustain coming out of Death Panther, no sustain available for Last Minute Monsters. They're going to have to use their fountain, but they're up in time. They're going to be able to defend this, it seems like. And there it just comes down to a great initiation, again, by Half Devil, and then the ultimates are just off the mark. Whereas on the other side, Dutch Mirrodins, Mike the Magikarp's able to find a great one underneath the tower. Death Panther, all alone right now, cannot be here. He took the wrong pathing. He's going to pay for it. Rebound, able to pick up his 3rd kill of the game.
I don't even mind the split up, Ryan. Like we saw Rago separate from the rest of his team. I don't even mind that. He turned around to ult to try and steal the camp. That jungle camp, not worth it.
No, not at all.
Not
and
worth
then
it.
Wrath used there by the big SB to try and keep his own blue buff up, but it's actually still secured by Rebound, and then there's a huge difference in that Wrath cooldown. So if we see an advantage gained by Last Minute Monsters, the big SB's not going to have that relic available to try and steal away the Fire Giant.
Right now, pretty close game, although Last Minute Monsters certainly in the lead. 4,000 gold for the blue squad, and they're going to start the Fire Giant.
It's Mr. Stefan. They're relying on him to secure this with Spirit of the Nine Winds. It's got to be his job to make sure this goes the way of Last Minute Monsters. It's getting low. Big SB again doesn't have the Wrath. There's Spirit of the Nine Winds. It secures it. It's going the way of Last Minute Monsters.
Here's the fight back from Dutch Mirrodins. Nice up down on a Hestrix to execute the big, Steefy, beefy. He's going to fall down for the 4th time this contest. Much different game for him than we saw last time in our quarterfinals.
In 1, 4, and 3, and that's just because of the early rotations on that right-hand side. Last Minute Monsters getting the better end of the engagements for the most part, and it's just been Rebound who's looked very, very strong, really pushing the big SB under tower consistently. This is a pretty solid matchup for Bologna, able to disarm, which is basically Erlong Shen's main source of damage is auto attack. So you really like that matchup in lane for Rebound, but still his team fighting presence has been better than the big SBs. It's really been across the board that he's looked like the better player right now.
And that's the key for me right here. I think if you poll 50 players, 50 people that are in the know about the challenger scene and above, and you say Rebound, Big SB, Hestrix, Mike the Magikarp, I think the latter two, the Big SB and Mike the Magikarp, are your stronger players. Almost 49 out of 50 players are going to say that. But when it comes down to, SMITE's a 5-on-5 game. not a 1v1 game. And Rebound and Hestrix have just blended with their squad and the team fights much better than their opponents on the other way.
And for me, it's been Half Devil. We've called his name time and time again. He's 0-4-8, but has made so many plays, setting up for his team, really setting up Mr. Steffen nicely and protecting his team very well. And Cosmic, having that rough early game, no doubt about that, but his mid to late game has been, we're only 21 minutes. We're not even close to late game. What am I talking about? We're in the mid game right now, but Cosmic has looked very, very good on that Chronos.
Got to tip my hat to the Kulu Khan as well. 12 out of 13 kills have had his stamp of approval on them. Right now, the Big SB is going to take a little bit of damage. Half Devil tanking this Phoenix when he probably doesn't need to, but the Fire Giant regen will be good enough to make him not even care. Another wave of minions. Right now, Last Minute Monsters, the reason they're biding their time here, folks, is we're waiting to see the wave of minions come and destroy those backdoor protections. Cosmic doesn't have the lead that he might have anticipated, so he can't just walk up in there and take down the Phoenix.
Rebound going under there, trying to get something going. Root up there, but Mike the Magikarp, he's in the sky. He's looking to come crashing down. He finds Rebound, but that's not the right target. He's going up, he's going down, and so is Mike the Magikarp.
Backside, trouble for Hoeg. Tail Whip's going to knock up 3. Still finds a way out thanks to the charge prey. The Phoenix, on the other hand, falls to the wayside. Half Devil now corralling his team on the right side. Slow but steady. The team finally going to make it here, and the Phoenix will finally be the target one more time. Half Devil down to 25.
Cosmic got to be the one to hit this Phoenix. He's the one who's doing the majority of the damage to the structures. Middle Phoenix down, right-hand Phoenix down, and Cosmic, now he's looking for the kills.
Half Devil still in trouble, but Mr. Steffen, Mr. Stefan gets the kill. Death Panther able to answer back and take down the support. Mid and right Phoenix go down. Death Panther goes down. Boz goes down. Cosmic on a tear.
Mike the Magikarp respawning is the only reason you see Last Minute Monsters starting to play a little bit safer. Rebound, just able to find that back in time. Cosmic gets knocked up, but the Big SB silenced out. Cosmic's not worried that he's a low health. He still wants to fight. Rebound has teleported back in, full health, full mana, and the Titan's gonna be taken down here. Last Minute Monsters coming in and defending their spot.
Off the mark. If he lands on the 3 players of the Titan, we might see a stop here. Mr. Steffen gets the kill, but ultimately it's going to be the Titan falling down 18-10 in 23 minutes of play. That's that.
It was such a close game for so long, and then all of a sudden, it's the fact that the Big SB uses his Wrath on that blue buff to make sure that there's really no contest for Spirit of the Nine wins on the Fire Giant, and it's Rebound and Half Devil doing a great job of zoning away Dutch Myrmidons from getting anywhere close to that Fire Giant, and then it just all snowballs out of control from there. The Chronos, like I mentioned, struggled in the early game, but once he got to the late game, the mid game made it count.
Also, in news, the sky is blue and grass is green. Chronos comes through in the late game, but not the early game. So we saw a fantastic performance from Last Minute Monsters, who, like I said, I think on paper are the bottom card. But it's the way that they play together and play as a unit that really enabled them to take that win.
In some positions, yes, but again, it was the mid lane and the support for me. Half Devil and Mr. Steffen, really, Mr. Steffen near the top of the player damage charts, I think only behind Boss, who had an excellent game on that Soul. Really the only reason the Dutch Myrmidons were still in that game was Boss on that Soul in my mind. And then Mr. Steffen was right behind him in that player damage, just played so well around the CC from Half Devil. He's the experienced player. He's the one making it happen right now for Last Minute Monsters.
Yeah, they certainly have things a little buttoned up as far as that's concerned. Dutch Myrmidons, though, I'm very curious to see how they react and how they rebound, how they bounce back from that game number 1. Do you think we're going to see a game 3?
I think we could, because you expect Big SB to have a better game than he did there, even if he's moving off Erlong Shen, which he's been so successful on. Maybe, okay, let's move on. It wasn't the right matchup there. Clearly, Rebound's comfortable up against that in lane, so if we can give the Big SB a better god that he can play the lane with and really try and change that around, I definitely think Dutch Myrmidons are strong enough to force us to a game 3.
So my 2 cents, I don't think there's a middle ground. I think we either see a game 3 because of 15 to 20 minute dominance, or we're leaving real quick. Either way, I don't think that this is a team that kind of like bounces back just like casually and haphazardly. They either come through swinging, or they just sort of drop it.
I mean,
what were you doing there?
That's what you were doing. I was doing what you were like. They just gotta chug along a little bit.
Chug and chug.
GIF incoming. Anytime I'm on the desk with you, I'm like, I'm getting gift today. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Well, I was so happy. So we weren't filming as Ratatasker gets banned. We weren't filming when you did your Kronos impression. We were casting and the camera's not on us. But it was in one of these 8 million videos they meme me on with you doing your Kronos.
It's nothing
What did it
like
look
what
like?
Kronos. You can find the GIF online.
Nike.
He looks like he's riding a horse. That's what he looks like whenever he's like, you know, swinging.
Nike will be banned out by Dutch Myrmidons, and Last Minute Monsters takes care of Ratatasker and Jingwei. Going to stick to those bans, and I like it. Like I said, I think I would have liked that Jingwei to be an Arlong Shen ban, but he didn't win the game last time around.
Clearly.
So here I'm okay with it.
Clearly, Rebound was able to handle it pretty well. Maybe the Soul ban could have really been used there, but Hestrix, again, I'm assuming this Thanatos is going to him. Really, really strong play last time.
Yeah.
Was on point with the executes and really just playing around half double. I wouldn't have even minded a Khepri first pick. The only problem with that is that Thanatos would have been left open, which can really play around that Scarab's Blessing ultimate. Of course, the execute goes through that revive. It's not going to revive you from an execute, so no problem with the Thanatos first pick.
Sobek and Arlong Shen are selected here, which makes me think that Dutch Myrmidons might be moving away from the Ra here in this game for the first time in 3 games. We saw the Ra not just in game number 1 of our semifinals, but also in our quarterfinals where Dutch Myrmidons took on Lunatic Jesters. So
Artemis
might see a little bit of change, and that's certainly a little bit of change. The Artemis instead of the Kronos, but the same idea. Stay in lane, hang out, and then later on, we totally bring the noise.
Sure, but even less safe than Kronos. And Cosmic struggled in the laning phase during that game. I just don't understand the need for the Artemis right there. Is Artemis really going to get banned?
No.
Like, maybe a target ban, and we've seen it banned away against characters like Funball and Panda Cat before, but... No. Yeah, very curious decision. Love the Oilish pick here. We've seen Mike the Magikarp get targeted out in the second banning phase every single game so far, and he's got plenty of setup. No jumps yet for Minute Monsters, but you've got Sobek and you've got Arlong Shen, 2 great instant knockups that you can use that Gravity Surge off of.
Really important that Dutch Myrmidons allow Mike the Magikarp to get that pick, because Mike the Magikarp, I keep saying this, he's not one of the best players in the league, but he's definitely above average. But more importantly, what he does is he sets his teammates up just as much as he achieves himself. And Wheelish is a character that half second from Feather Step is definitely something that Dutch Myrmidons can make use of.
And it's going to be half double they're looking for. It's going to be looked to pluck back that Khepri and really make sure that he's going to be able to be in the back of the team fights and providing that damage reduction with Rising Dawn, providing those Scarab's Blessing ultimates for the rest of his team. Like this Poseidon pick, though, from Death Panther, you're going to be able to shut down that mobility from Khepri. Plus, if you're able to force his revive on another character and then pop it intentionally right into the double Kraken right away, it's a really great way to play around that Khepri ultimate.
Poseidon, as you said, will be the selection here. Waiting on the other 2 from Last Minute Monsters. The bands coming out, Ratatasker, Jingwei, Giannis. That's not a second Ratatasker band. We'll get you the real band in just a moment. Thoth, Belonoth, Zeus, and Nike on the other side from Dutch Myrmidons. But the Amaterasu, a very passive laner versus the Arlong, who is the opposite.
No surprise to see Vulcan locked in for Mr. Stefan. I was very surprised to see that they banned away that Bellona, but
yeah, that was
I guess with how Rebound played, you got to give it to him. I mean, he really knew that matchup well. Like I mentioned, it's disarming the Arlong Shen. He gets all of his damage from those auto attacks. So keeping the big SB safe in lane, I like that ban. But the problem is you give Mr. Stefan his premier character in Vulcan.
We'll definitely keep an eye on that one, and keep an eye on the Kronos. So it's going to be on Dutch Myrmidons. That's the Hunter or Wheelish in the jungle, Poseidon in the mid lane. Arlong and Sobek will be the tanky characters, one in the short, one in the long lane, respectively. How are you feeling about these drafts?
I like Dutch Myrmidon's draft in theory. It's just difficult to execute in game, and I think that's where that concerns me. Whereas Last Minute Monsters, this is very, very similar to their last game draft. Oh, and it's actually a ROM, not an Artemis for Cosmic in that duo lane. Much, much safer. Going to be able to have that mobility, the CC immune ult. I like this pick a lot more than the other.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense. Hoek one more time, right into the mess, finds the pickup and the dash, but Hoek in some more trouble. Last Minute Monsters are used to this fight now. And Cosmic finds it. Mike the Magikarp can go down as well. Mr. Stefan gets the kill. And that's, you know what? Dutch Myrmidons. They played it in game number 1. They played it in their quarterfinals, right? Shame on that team. They played it in game number 1 of the semifinals. Shame on me. You get 1 time.
Yeah.
Twice? No,
We're
no,
ready
no.
for you.
Shame on you. And they not only, what I like about that is Last Minute Monsters not only topples the invade, but they get 2. Not just one.
And the Sanctuary out from Boss as well, but you got to give a chance to, you got to give the shout-outs to Rebound with that Wrath, stunning away Mike the Magikarp to ensure that last auto attack from Mr. Stefan was going to be able to find the home. And we just see how potent Shell is at level 1, despite the fact that the CC chain plucked, and it was a perfectly placed Whirlpool from Death Panther, dead center.
That's what I was going to go into. The picks and bans from Dutch Myrmidons here after the fact. Hindsight's 2020, of course. You can clearly see, all right, they're going to invade us again. They go to the DM Brandon School of invade every game, so we're gonna gotta stop that. Death Panther drops down the Whirlpool. Mike the Magikarp with the half-second on Feather Step. You know that they're gonna come at you. So last-minute monsters are able to, Mr. Stefan, get a nice little knock-up. Nice rebound, no pun intended, from LMM to make sure that Dutch Myrmidons have the opposition.
Ooh, that knock-up from Mike the Magikarp saves him from eating a lot of damage, basically. Because of that knock-up onto Hestrix, he was going to eat a Death Scythe for sure, but it didn't matter because the Purification was used there. So many relics down. The only one up right now on the side of Dutch Myrmidons is Death Panther with that Purification in the middle lane.
So touching on our picks and bans, as we said, the Artemis was actually the ROM, quite obviously, but less obviously, that second round Tasker ban was actually a Freya ban. So definitely,
interesting.
So last minute monsters afraid of the power coming out from the magical hunters on the side of Dutch Myrmidons.
He had no soul ban, so Boss decided to go away from that. Maybe didn't feel like he had the late game carry potential, and that's something you see a decent amount when you get a great lead in lane, but then you can't keep it together for the team in the later stages. You're like, all right, give me the latest game thing you got. Give me the strongest drink you have, and that's Kronos, basically.
Where's Shibalanke at?
As far as magical hunters go.
Okay.
Plus, I think I'd rather have Kronos in the late game than Gibalanke, because you aren't guaranteed to get the 30 power off your stacks.
Sure, but Shibalanke can turn the lights off.
He sure can. No one does it better.
Right side Rebound losing this matchup, as to be expected. I want to make sure the fans at home realize that this is how this is supposed to go. These two characters will, Boss takes a big chunk. These two characters will fight, and Amaterasu will lose the fight until about level 9. That's where her mirror is able to clear the whole wave, and she's able to heal up.
And I love the Death Toll pickup from Rebound, understanding that he's not worried about clearing the wave any earlier by picking up Bluestone. That really affects that. Your abilities like the Reflective Mirror, like your dash, you're going to be just using those auto attacks, which are so important on Amaterasu. Really undervalued, I think, for a lot of amateur solo laners are Amaterasu's auto attacks. That passive is what makes her unbelievable in the early stages and mid stages of the game. Combined with the aura, making you take extra damage from all sources if you're hit with 3 auto attacks. So using that passive well with the Death Toll is going to be key to Rebound's laning phase.
Good control of the Gremlins as last-minute monsters take their early game fights.
I'm so happy you're on board the Gremlins train.
I love it. I think it's because there's no other fire elementals. Is way too many syllables.
I also like little guys.
I don't like little guys because little guys can mean
What you got against little guys?
Little guys can mean anything.
Baited.
Oh, man. Stevie Beefy getting baited just a little bit. Gonna get stunned out here. And the mirror shot should be strong. But there's Hestrix and the follow-up for the mid lane.
Oh, yeah.
The big Stevie Beefy gets grilled and served. Mr. Stefan with the kill.
And that's exactly what you expect out of Mr. Stefan with this Vulcan. He just so comfortable on it. Long range ultimate, doesn't matter. Finds the home. Early 2 kills for him. 3-0 right now early on for last minute monsters.
Yeah, that Vulcan, it's actually surprisingly difficult to be so accurate with that long-range ability. So Mr. Stefan certainly showing his hours put on this mid-lane Vulcan.
Plus, you gotta love the Wrath from Rebound again. Used for the stun, not for the buff secure, the objective secure. Used for that stun to lock the big SB in place for that Earthshaker.
See, little guys can be minions, little guys can be Vamana
Listen,
players.
if you got something against little guys, I'm not here to expose you on that. You know, I just think that people need to know.
I mean, are you trying to call me a big guy? What are you doing here?
No, I'm not trying to call you a big guy, Tom.
Right here, Mike the Magikarp trying to be the big guy. Nice little knock up. And the Purification again, just used off the money. Cosmic and Hestrix. Well, okay, maybe he's expecting the wheelish pull. I think that's why we see the, all right, less offensive there, but nice gank coming out from Mike the Magikarp, bringing the Hunter down to about 10% HP.
Plus using the Purification so that he's not stopped in the middle of the roll. You saw Mike the Magikarp did a great job of holding that Feather Step, waiting for the Rolling Assault to come out because you can stop it dead in its tracks with the cripple from Feather Step. So using that Purification in midair allows you to guarantee yourself that disengage whenever you use your roll afterwards. I've got no problem with that Purification.
Yeah, as do I on second look. Hestrix's was our offender last time around.
It's true.
So we'll keep an eye on that one. Hestrix right now will be back at the base. And this time we see, so this is actually very interesting. Same start from Hestrix in the sense that full boots, wait, and then buy the starter item. But instead of the tank boots, we actually see the Talaria boots, which are one of my favorite boots to see on the Thanatos. How do you feel?
I'm interested because I feel like tank boots would have been better in this matchup than it was last time around because you have the Poseidon, which tank boots excel against tick damage,
Yeah.
Whirlpool, tick damage. So you're going to be able to have a little bit more effectiveness there. But I guess Hestrix is just feeling himself. He felt like he had a great game last time. He wants to accelerate towards his build in the later stages. Plus, if he's going to go for the Mark of the Vanguard like he did last time, it's going to be better to go for these Talaria boots. So you're not kind of double dipping on that the tick reduction damage.
He's going to accelerate because he's faster with the Talaria boots. And that's the big point, I think, jokes aside. Mike the Magikarp, Death Panther, Boss, these are all characters that are going to be very, very fast. Thanatos is fast in his own right, especially after the almost guaranteed Shield of Regrowth. But those Talaria boots will help him catch up to these speedy characters as well. So I think that's why we see the divergence from the tank boots.
And this time around, Cosmic, top of the net worth charts on this left-hand side, playing a little bit better on in this duo lane. Having the better clear in the early game definitely helps that, as well as the fact, look at how conservative he's playing, knowing that his purification is down. Much better play in lane thus far from Cosmic.
He just seems safer. Some players are just safer on the classic hunters versus the magical hunters. I mean, you can certainly, if you want to look at the pro scene, Zapman is one of those players that just looks more comfortable on the hunters than the magical hunters. Meta be damned. And sometimes the choice, sometimes the character that is not the actual top choice is better depending on how you play.
Yeah, the flavor of the month doesn't always agree with your taste buds. You gotta find what you're comfortable with, regardless of what's meta at the time.
Big team fight right here. Whirlpool coming out. The Kraken is going to be good on Mr. Stefan, and Hoek cleans it up. Dutch Beerman is on the board at first. Half Devil going to get his ultimate chased out onto himself. There it is. Pop. And
goes the Weasel. Pop goes the Weasel.
Because the Weasel goes pop.
There it is. Half Devil going to fall 2-for-0 in favor of Dutch Myrmidons. And that was a great job of splitting that team fight there by the Dutch Myrmidons. They keep Half Devil on the right-hand side underneath the Fire Elementals, Gremlins, or Little Guys, depending on your preference. And then on the left-hand side, you see Mr. Stefan completely alone. No way for that Scarab's Blessing to immune that Kraken. And that's the thing. Kraken really, really great whenever you can pop someone out of that ultimate and then hit it with Khepri and that person. But if you just crack at someone and they get immediately revived from Khepri, it's kind of feels bad, man.
Yeah, you're just kind of sitting there like, well, that was my party hat.
I did it. I hit him. It's more than I can usually say.
Well, that's certainly true. Which, yeah, I mean, we've seen that before. Right here, Boss gonna make the play on the tower right here. Got to be careful as the rotations are coming. They're from his own team, so I would have liked him to see him stick around a little bit longer, but better safe than sorry, I guess. At the end of it, 3-2, 7.5 on the clock exactly. Last Minute Monsters taking on Dutch Myrmidons in game number 2. This is a best of 3 series tie game here, folks. LMM looking to take this one to the bank to end this series short.
This is where I expect to see Cosmic really take control of this lane. He's finished his boots now. He's got the Devourer's Gauntlets. And Boss hasn't gone for a helm to defend himself. Someone's got to defend this Gold Fury. Time stop coming out. It's going to be close, but it is going to be Last Minute Monsters taking away that gold. Just understanding the flow of the map very, very well there.
Yeah, Mr. Stefan using the ultimate to go ahead and confirm, thanks to the mid-range power. Stevie Beefy again in a little bit of trouble. Rebound given the chase. One shot, 2 shot. There's the stun. We'll see you later, son. Stevie Beefy gets roasted again. And that's going to be the solo laner's second fall.
So much talk about how good the Big SB has been playing and coming from us, and deservedly so during their last week's games and again with their quarterfinal game this week. But it's been Rebound in these semifinals, really taking it to the Big SB, really looking strong.
Yes, man. What do you think? What do you think went down there for Stevie Beefy? What was the change? I mean, quarterfinals to semifinals, you can obviously argue the talent level of the opposition. But from last week to this week, what do you think the difference is there?
It can just be that the rest of the team he's not getting the support that he's used to seeing from Mike the Magikarp. It could be that they aren't used to this sort of synergy with Poseidon in the middle lane. Picks are a big deal in these sorts of scenarios. Big deal on the left-hand side. Cosmic's got to find all 3. He's 0 for 1 thus far. Gonna be able to find the third, but it's not gonna matter. Half Devil's gotta get here in time to get that Scarab's Blessing off. He will. Hestrix comes crashing down as well. The cavalry has arrived, and Cosmic, he's gonna survive because of it.
Huge play coming out from Last Minute Monsters, and Cosmic got himself into a precarious situation, but you got to tip your cap to him on how well he dealt with it. He went up to the sky, he was able to roll, he stopped the first advance from Hoek.
And you gotta, exactly, that the stalling tactics by going up into that Astral Barrage is the big key there. And Cosmic could have looked for all 3 shots quickly to try and find the kill on the boss, because I think he had enough damage, but I love the identification that I just need to stay up here as long as I can. Just keep up in the sky, wait for Half Devil to get over here, and save my life with that Scarab's Blessing. Good trust in your support there from Cosmic.
That's what it was. It was the trust of the teammate. And, you know, he made that play that you pointed out beforehand a second time, where he rolls away from the support and then smacks Hoek with the cripple to make sure that he's not going to get charge played right away. Here again, the ultimate, but this time defensively. And here comes everybody else. No knockup. Nice little turnaround from Rebound, understanding the sound cue and able to stop himself.
And that's why you see him use his ultimate in that scenario, because he understands that there's a rotation coming from not only Mike the Magikarp, who didn't have his ultimate available, but the big one is Death Panther. No physical protection or magical protection yet from Rebound in the solo lane, as to be expected at the 10.5 minute mark, but you have to be extra wary of where that enemy mid laner is, because that Kraken can come and smack you out of nowhere.
So Last Minute Monsters, they're ahead by, you know, 1,500 give or take here. Did they miss an opportunity with the 2 kills they got early on, or was the way they played it exactly the way they should?
I don't have a problem with it. Their late game potential is really, really strong. Hoek gonna take a bunch of damage here. He may just fall, and he will.
Later.
The turret for Mr. Steffen doing a ton of work. Hestrix up into the sky, looking for the target. Looks to be, he was thinking about Mike the Magikarp, but it's gonna be Death Panther in the middle lane. Gets a purification and gets out of dodge immediately.
And that's a win right there. Hestrix ultimate is gonna be up way sooner than his opposition. He's got the cooldown on the shield of regrowth that he's building into. Well, it's not more cooldown, but 10% is good enough.
Oh, Cosmic
It'll be up
gets
quicker
it.
than that purification. And the Cosmic picking up that red buff. You said he was going to take control of the lane. Well, he looks like he's taking control of somebody else's lane here.
Just taking control of whatever he wants here right now. Level 13, a level up on boss on this Chronos. Death Panther still here, has the Kraken available, but I don't think he's got enough mana to use it at this stage. Half Devil stun underneath the tower, but Big SB teleports in and eats a Death Scythe immediately for his troubles.
Mike the Magikarp shows up as well. Just enough to chase LMM off of the tower. Rebound, however, going to work over here. Just cutting it down.
And this is what you do when you have a lead. You either group up and push as a team, or you split the enemy team up and continue to take their farm away. Big SB gonna try and eat a dazzling defensive there. I thought Rebound was going for him.
Yeah.
Curious decision. Maybe he didn't know where the jungler was.
I think
he was worried about the CC potential there.
It was a Sobek right there. Rebound unleashes the ultimate, looking for the kill. Somebody calls Sobek and everybody falls back. And he's falling back mid-ult. That's not a great feeling, but I like the commitment to aggression coming out from Last Minute Monsters. Because like I said, as egregious as it was that last game we saw somebody have the lead play them where they got too aggressive, I think it's also just as bad to have a lead and not utilize it at all. Right now you're up 3,000, you can use that.
You can chill. You can do whatever you really want to do on these maps. You just got to be wary of the rotations, and that's exactly what Rebound was playing around.
Yep.
Cosmic playing very, very safely here, not coming out to contest that wave because he understands that everyone else on the map is missing outside of Death Panther. Heads up play out of Cosmic, and like we mentioned, just looks so much more comfortable on this traditional hunter.
Straight question, why don't we see more people freeze the wave? Cosmic can't fight into that. Boss can just hang on to the wave and deny the XP and the gold. Why don't we see that happen more often?
Because honestly, I think part of it just comes down to standing there and watching the wave doesn't feel great.
It's boring.
Yeah, you kind of get itchy fingers and you want to make
Think
plays.
about how mad the other guys get.
Oh, so mad. Nothing's worse than getting your wave frozen. Like you're playing a Clash game and they freeze the wave and you're like, really, dude?
That's me.
That would be.
If I've played 12 minutes of Clash, and if I played more, that would be me. Right now, aggression on the Gold Fury. Last Minute Monster's going to start it, but they're looking for the fight. I love this play. Ultimate into Stefan's just going to tickle Hoek, but here comes everyone else. Hestrix picks up one. The ultimate out of the Kraken, just not enough damage. That's that 3K lead, folks.
Cosmic still here in the front line, trying to do enough damage. No sustain here, but Mr. Steffen zoning away with that turret. Wrath is up right now for Rebound. Big SB has his as well, but it looks like the call is to give it up. Gold Fury goes the way of last-minute monsters.
That's the play. I wish I could frame that play right there, Aggro. I wish I could frame that play. I love this play. You're 3,000 to 4,000 gold ahead. You're not going to slaughter the enemy team by any means, but you have the advantage. You start the Gold Fury, usually not the Fire Giant. You start the Gold Fury and you say, look, either they come at us and they fight us, and we beat them and win, or they let us get the Gold Fury. If you make that play every game at 3,000 or 4,000 gold, you're going to wind up positive. I love that play.
Very heads up. And
Textbook.
Last Minute Monsters just looks like a veteran team right now. This doesn't seem to me like a team that, you know, still needs a lot of work in their decision making or calls. They look very, very coordinated. And you got, in my mind, you know, I don't know their team dynamic very well, but Half Devil's got to be the guy you got to look at. He's been around for so long. He's been there. He's done that. And now he's passing that knowledge on to these Challenger Cup players.
So I think you could see the holes in this squad if you look really close. The rotations are
the silence.
Yeah,
that was nice. Big SB. We'll see you later, buddy.
And that's why you draft the Thanatos. That SB might even get away after that because of how much health he still has. But in any event, when it comes down to it, I think if you really analyze the tape, you can definitely still see some holes in Last Minute Monsters game. They're definitely not energy by any stretch of imagination. And I think one of the, as positive as it is, that Half Devil is the general, and he's clearly talking his face off because that's what Half Devil does. If you looked at the way the team played when Half Devil was dead towards the end of the game, kind of just haphazard all over the place, if I'm Dutch Myrmidons or any opponent, I am focusing Mr. Devil.
But you really can't because you saw in that last engagement where they're trying to bait them into the fight at the Gold Fury, they pull Half Devil significantly far away from everyone else.
That's true.
And then they just eat an Earthshaker for it. You know, they're grouping up around him. He pops the shell. He survives, no problem. He doesn't even use his ultimate. You just don't have enough damage on Dutch Myrmidons to punch through this Khepri early on. Death Panther has to commit his ult if they're gonna kill Khepri with the first initial pull, and you saw him hold it, and so he survives. You have to do that full commit or don't commit.
And I think the full commit is almost worth it because when we watch the end of that game, 2 Phoenixes are down, 3 players are up, they could easily kill the Titan versus 1 or 2 players. There's indecision. They couldn't really choose what to do. When Half Devil's there, you see him corralling them, walking into the, I'm gonna tank this right Phoenix, and either I'm gonna die to it or my team's gonna kill it. And the team knows they have to follow Half Devil. Half Devil is very clearly the leader here, and Last Minute Monsters, I'm not sure if individually they have the confidence. It's funny, the decisions that the individuals make when Half Devil is on the field are great, but I don't think they have the confidence in themselves yet to make those decisions without Half Devil there.
Well, regardless, he's here right now, and they're up 7-2 in kills. They're up as well 7,000 gold at the 16-minute mark, right under 7,000 gold and right around 6,000 experience. And for me, the difference maker this game not only has been Half Devil, but it's been Cosmic just playing safer. Like I mentioned, Boss was the reason the Dutch Myrmidons were really in that game last time around in game 1, but Cosmic just looking so much stronger. And curious itemization coming out of Boss. No Celestial Legion helm, no Dynasty Plate helm.
Just going straight damage.
Just going straight damage, but those could really, really help up against the physical damage coming out of not only Cosmic, but Hestrix and Rebound as well. Really gives him a lot of extra tankiness that he's foregoing for some extra cooldown reduction and damage for his mid laner. I really would have preferred to see Boss go for one of those helms.
Yeah, very, very, very interesting coming up from the Chronos choice. I absolutely think Cosmic is just better on these traditional hunters. After 1.5 games, Chronos is the hunter that traditional hunter player, or Chronos is the magical hunter that traditional hunter players will go. So with that in mind, I think he's just happier to be on the ROM here. Death Panther chased out, and this is the free tier 2 tower.
No, Mike the Madcap flanking in. He's looking at Hestrix, but just so tanky right now. Cosmic putting damage into the objective, trying to make sure they secure that 1,500 gold for the team, but the rest of Dutch Myrmidons have made the rotation. Hestrix coming around the backside, looking for someone. He's up in the sky. He's looking for Hoek. Earthshaker not going to be able to find a home. Mike the Madcap going to eat the damage, but Hestrix, he's in trouble.
And that's one of the downsides of playing Thor, Thanatos, or Ratatasker into a Poseidon. You land, you get hit by the Kraken, but Rebound's gonna be the one hitting Hoek. Finally the accuracy, but he's saved by Half Devil. Boss gets away despite the best efforts of our ROM player Cosmic. And Hestrix stunned out of the right side still. Tier 2 tower falls. Last Minute Monsters still got their foot on their throat.
And Cosmic just 4 items deep already. 3 complete items, actually. No, it is 4. I'm sorry about that. Mike the Magikarp.
Mikey gets grabbed.
Where's he going to go?
Mikey's gone.
Nowhere to go. Cosmic able to pick him up. Now the Khepri ultimate still available. Hestrix, he's running away as fast as he possibly can. That additional movement speed from Scent of Death, from the Shield of Regrowth, coming up big there.
From Talaria boots even.
Yeah, Talaria boots as well. Tier 2 tower falls. Middle Phoenix falls. Multiple members of Dutch Myrmidons fall. And it's getting to that dreaded 10K mark, Tom. Very, very close.
Just under 20 minutes, rather. Just under 10K. And the Dutch Myrmidons just under 3 kills. They've only accomplished 2 kills so far. One, they caught Mr. Stefan way out of position, and the other time they just all in collapsed on Half Devil. Every other situation has wound up in the Last Minute Monsters' favor here.
And it's just been not only the fights, because there isn't a huge difference in the kills, 7 kills, not the biggest difference at 20 minutes, but just the map control, the invading from Cosmic, the invading from Rebound, the Gold Fury control. This is going to be the 3rd one in 19 minutes going the way of Last Minute Monsters. That is going to push that lead right over 10,000. It's going to be 11,000 gold for the Last Minute Monsters, and they're in a great spot to head on to the finals for the 2nd week in a row.
And you pointed out the fact that there's not a lot of kills. Every single kill has been important for Last Minute Monsters. They find the pick that they need to open up the Gold Fury. When we saw them take on the Gold Fury, it was 5-on-5. They only got 1 kill out of that situation, but it was the only kill they needed to make sure that they could secure gold. Here they're going to start with Fire Giant, and again, this is the same situation. Dutch Myrmidons, either you fight us and we win the fight, or we get the Fire Giant. Half Devil, the only one playing defense. Everybody's going to have to peel off. Ooh, that could have been dangerous, but the Fire Giant finally leashed.
Now Half Devil pulled in again. There's the Kraken. There's the knockup. Half Devil still alive, though. Big SB in the backside looking for Mr. Stefan. Everyone immediately collapses on the solo laner.
That's the play that you need to make, but you have to finish the deal. Half Devil can't get away. Everybody get a retreat on LMM, and that's going to be the end of that fight. Dutch Myrmidons play that, I mean, 95 out of 100.
The blink from Mike the Magikarp. They are going to find Half Devil this time. Mike the Magikarp so low. Snipe from Cosmic's going to be able to find him. He picks up 1. Hoek pretty low as well. A couple extra damage shots pumped into the enemy team.
Watch the team now. This is not an engagement that Last Minute Monsters needs to go into.
But Cosmic's level 19. Yeah, he can do whatever he wants right now. Teleport coming in from Rebound behind as well. Big SB trying to find the enemy hunter. Sanctuary going to buy him some time for now, but he needs some peel. Hestrix going to provide that. The turret as well. Cosmic just juking around. Oh, not going to be able to find the execute there. Boss finally able to pick him up. Mr. Stefan trades out his mid laner as well. Boss on the run.
Hestrix still giving the chase. I like the chase out of the Chronos. For a second, I thought that was Stevie Beefy. Probably not the greatest ideas, but looking for the death on the Chronos. There it is. Rebound confirms it. That's what I was talking about. I hope I wasn't the only one that saw the distinct difference in team fight without Half Devil in it.
There was a little spread.
With Half Devil, there is a concentrated target, no split DPS. As soon as he's gone and he can't call these team fights, everybody's attacking whoever they feel fit. And that is the clear Achilles heel of Last Minute Monsters. If I'm Dutch Myrmidons, or perhaps the team that makes it to the finals, I am watching this and I'm making sure to slaughter Half Devil.
And he's only had 2 deaths so far, and that's why you see Last Minute Monsters be so successful. 3 or 4 members here from the LMM looking for this right-hand tier 2 tower. Middle Phoenix is going to respawn fairly soon. No damage onto the Titan yet thus far. Dutch Myrmidons have done a pretty good job of defending their Titan room.
I like the call to peel off of the Fire Giant right there. And again, and not to harp on it, but 2 players attacked the Fire Giant until Half Devil showed up and said no, and then they moved on to clear the jungle out. Very clearly the head of this team is going to be Half Devil, which should be no surprise. Half Devil's a veteran, and it's not like he's one of these veterans of the Challenger Cup that just can't succeed because of his own issues. He's actually he's in the army, and he just doesn't have the time commitment to wind up being one of these pro players. I think if Half Devil absolutely had all the time in the world that some of these other players did outside of his native Israel, I think you might have seen. I think we might have been talking about an SPL Half Devil instead of a relegation Half Devil. Absolutely.
I mean, he's been around forever. Cosmic just not in the right spot, but he's going to be able to jump into the sky right out of the range of that Kraken, shoot 1 shot, and just get out of danger as fast as possible.
I mean, look at, you could probably kill Cosmic, but everybody's just like, yeah, that Kraken.
Yeah, not going to be able to find it, but Hestrix going to try and find the execute, getting Hoak very low. Charge Prey, going to buy him some time. Rebound, thinks he's going to charge it down. Cosmic gets revived by Half Devil, has no relics. Big SB, he's there trying to pick up the enemy hunter.
Look at the body blocks, love it coming out of Half Devil. Cosmic gets one, Hestrix and rebound, finish off the damage. Thanks to you, brought by Mr. Steffen's ultimate from a distance. Sorry about that one.
Not going to be able to get away from that long-range artillery strike from Mr. Steffen. Big SB able to escape just barely, but the Middle Phoenix will not. Middle Phoenix has respawned. Middle Phoenix has died a second time. 24 minutes in, second Phoenix killed by last-minute monsters, but it's the same one, so you still have that ability to defend okay right now as Dutch Myrmidons.
Tier 2 goes down, and we're likely to see the left Phoenix. It's still going to be 15 seconds before the Thor player comes back up, or rather a Wheelish, excuse me, Mike the Magikarp. So this is a free Phoenix as well.
Hestrix has got to be the one to hit this Phoenix, though. He's the one with the physical damage that can punch through the objective. Instead, he's going up into the sky. He's looking for the execute onto the big SB. The Phoenix is going to fall, but at what cost? Rebound pretty deep right now. Half Devil doesn't have the ultimate. Kraken going to be able to secure that from the outer ring. Now Half Devil, who was trying to save his teammate, forced to throw the root onto himself. Very, very slow thanks to that Whirlpool Gem of Isolation combination. Boss, he wants to find him, but Half Devil gonna survive.
Hestrix absolutely making me happy as a Thanatos player here. Understanding that his role, now the execute was way too early, and that made me unhappy. But what a lot of Thanatos players don't get is the way that you have to play. You are secondary support late in the game. He's using the silence, he's understanding the slow on death side, not just about the damage. Completely saves Half Devil right there. Gotta put a smile on the Thanatos players at home's faces. And the Fire Giant is gonna put a smile on Last Minute Monsters fans' faces. They're up over 10 grand. They've got a Fire Giant on 4 out of 5 of their players.
The Big SB and Mike the Magikarp are doing speed buff while that Fire Giant is being done. Together. If one of them's on speed buff while the other checks fire, fine. Probably not optimal. You can take 2 seconds and go check fire to make sure it has to be done and then do your buff, but you can't both be doing it, especially when you have Wrath in the solo lane. There's no secure there. Mr. Steffen uses his ultimate, but it's going to be from a close range. You've got the potential to CC him. Cosmic's been tanking it for the entire duration. That 2 veteran players, Get Fisher, Zashu. Mike the Magikarp, the Big SB. Same thing, and their heads aren't in the game right now, it seems like.
And that is, I mean, when we talk about it, Zashu wasn't banned for no reason. Zashu is banned because he gets frustrated in games and he takes it out on his pub teammates and opponents, and that's not well and good. That's why he got banned. And Mike the Magikarp, Get Fisher, there's a reason why he always shows up in the springtime and then later on kind of finds it hard to find on a team. They are very easily, and I don't like to say this about players unless I'm absolutely sure. I know that these players have a tendency to get tilted in games like this. The frustration level on these players are high, and plays like that are proof in the pudding that this game is also mental, not just mechanical.
Last Phoenix being sieged here by Last Minute Monsters. Hoak taking a ton of damage from
Nice
Mr.
knockoff.
Steffen. Hestrix up into the sky. He's looking for the enemy Sobek, but the Earthshaker gonna force out 2 sanctuaries there. Mr. Steffen, that would have spelled instant doom if that had connected.
Right there. Right now, still focusing on this fight. Half Devil is going to be half HP, and this is as everybody floods into the Titan room. I'm not sure if Last Minute Monsters can take this fight head on, but that's exactly what they're going to do.
They're trying to go for the finals right now. Hestrix pulled back in. Cosmic up into the sky, looking for the targets. It's going to be Death Panther, 2 out of 3. Not going to be enough to get him low enough. Rebound dashes in, looking at Boss. Knock up again there from Mike the Magikarp, but the crits coming out of Cosmic. Not enough to save Mr. Steffen's life. The Scarab's Blessing was on the wrong target, but 3 waves of fire minions pouring in right now. They're going to defend.
Death Panther, Death Panther, Death Panther, Death Panther. Cosmic can't take on the whole team by himself. The Titan brought down to 25% HP. Like I said, the big lead was just not enough. Hestrix does find a way to wiggle himself out of that situation, but it just was a little bit too tough. Basically, what my analysis of the situation was, Hestrix made a great play. going up in the air, chased everybody off of the Phoenix. Not just the player that was in execute range, but everybody saw the Thanatos go up and figured fall back, because if Thanatos lands, even if not for an execute, it's going to set somebody up to clearly die. Everybody backs up and gives the Phoenix for free. Now that should be a walk-away situation, but what we saw was last-minute monsters. Hey, everybody push into the base, let's push in too, which I think was probably too aggressive.
You don't need to go for the end right there. I don't mind pushing into the Titan room right after Hestrix does, but once you get the Kraken out, back up, use that Fire Giant regen, and push up the waves. In that situation, your biggest asset as a team that has 5 members of Fire Giant are the fact that you have 3 Phoenixes down, and you've got 3 waves of fire minions that can come and help you body block skill shots, can help you do a ton of damage to the Titan, and make the other team make difficult decisions. Do we chase kills? Do we defend our Titan? It's difficult to find that balance, but you have so much time. You have to be patient in those sorts of scenarios. No reason to force it into the Titan room whenever you're not ready with those minions. They didn't have enough minions there to help them end.
3 players died to Whirlpool. 2 separate casts of Whirlpool.
I mean, the Chronos Pendant helping out Death Panther a lot there, getting 2 rotations of that Whirlpool that gets 2 separate kills, the slows, the setups, definitely coming up big right now for Death Panther in the middle lane.
When you're in that situation in the throne room, Gem of ISO is too much.
Mr. Stefan, he's gonna fall right away. Big SB picks it up, but it was Death Panther with the Kraken. Hoek gonna survive. Hestrix misses the ultimate. Death Panther picks up another kill, 2 dead, and it's the 2 damage dealers. Mr. Stefan, Cosmic, but again, it's Hoek with the setup, the pluck immediately into the Kraken. Mr. Stefan had neither relic available. Love the aggressiveness from Dutch Myrmidons there. They have a limited window to get that engagement going because of the 2 Phoenixes down in middle and right. They take it where they can get it and immediately identify the character that doesn't have the Sanctuary up. Death Panther looking very, very strong in this late game.
Great play coming out from the Dutch Myrmidons right here. They're going to push up the waves as far as possible. Fire Giant's about to spawn. If they play the Root Beer Tapper right here, they might even get a shot at the Fire Giant. It all depends on this fight in the mid lane. Never mind.
See ya. Boss falls. Half Devil able to pick up his first kill. He deserves one at this stage in the game. He's played so well. May as well be on the 30-minute Chronos, who's basically full build at this point, only waiting on that rod of Tahuti, and that's a big blow to lose your late game tower pusher.
I've spoken about items a lot, probably more today than I have in the past long time. Why does Chronos have his own Chronos Pendant? I'm just never a fan of that much CDR on the character.
Yeah, he's got a lot of CDR right now. Pythagoras piece plus the Chronos Pendant. I think that they thought the game was going to be over very soon and they wanted to get a late power spike. Don't want to sit on Restored Artifact. No one's going to be sitting on that Kraken. Hestrix pulled back in, but the Scarab's Blessing is perfect from Half Devil.
Thanatos runs away to the mid lane thanks to Half Devil, who's going to walk in.
Look at Half Devil. He's ending the game.
For the sky. This is it. They're just swinging for the fences. Down comes the Thanatos. Down goes the Titan. 19-12. 31:40 on the clock. And last minute monsters are your finals team.
They're going all the way. And this is second week in a row that they've gone to the finals, which guarantees them a spot in relegations later on down the lane. You could put a big check mark on them.
That's what I did.
I see that. That's why I said it. But you gotta give a lot of shout outs to Half Devil, to Mr. Stefan, Hestrix, Cosmic, and Rebound. All of them working so well together. And now we've got the rematch set up. Variety's new team, last minute monsters, both guaranteed to move on to relegations, but who's going to be the top card?
And I think Last Minute Monsters has done better this week than they did last week. Just a single week of preparation certainly helped them out. Notable matches: Last Minute Monsters over Last Minute Leftovers, and of course the Poppies lose again in the Wave Force semifinals, the quarterfinals.
And you got to look because remember it was Variety's new team versus Dutch Myrmidons last week, and Dutch Myrmidons really pushed them to the limit. I mean, that was a 3-game set that was very, very close overall. So you got to look. If Last Minute Monsters can look like that up against a team that really gave Variety's new team some trouble last week, maybe they've got a chance. Now, to be fair, the 3-game set, Variety's new team should have probably won the first 2. They throw one of the games, and that was their first week together. You expect them to get better as the time goes on, but clearly that also holds true for Last Minute Monsters, who look much better this week than they did last week.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Either way you slice it, fantastic stuff coming out from both of these teams. But, I mean, It's a Thanatos game. I got to see some Thanatos highlight reels.
Okay.
In fact, these are the only clips we have. We might have some clips, but I'm not going to let them play them. Hestrix came through in the clutch in the jungle on that Thanatos, and I mean, I have to. Just have to celebrate.
You have to. I mean, he did miss and execute in the late game. That was
I didn't
pretty
see
important.
it. I had my eyes closed.
But early on, and again, got to give shout outs to Half Devil there, but holding on to it. But these sorts of up-down plays, looking for Hoek. Yeah, he eats the Kraken when he comes down, but it's already a 4v5 engagement in Last Minute Monster's favor.
And, you know, they didn't catch it because it wasn't really a highlight play, but I loved the way the enemy team, Hestrix goes up in that final Phoenix fight, and of course it was a bad engagement after the fact for Last Minute Monsters.
Sure.
But he goes up on that final Phoenix fight, and everybody just runs away. He forces an entire team to run away.
He's scary, man.
I loved it.
The ultimate is hovering death. Like, you really want to hang around and just chill while that's coming for you?
Nope. Got to show love to the Hunter, though. Cosmic also brought it back. And like I said, Kronos is the player that if you're a pure Hunter player and you need to bring out Magical, you're going to go to the Kronos. He feels more like a traditional Hunter as opposed to Freya and especially Soul. So when it comes down to it, the Kronos was, I'll give you a solid okay, bud. You played okay later on in the game, but it was the ROM that impressed me.
Without a doubt, but this was a team fight that really turned it all around for Cosmic in this game. This is where he was able to pick up 2 kills and really start the snowball entirely into Last Minute Monster's favor and get that speed buff experience as well. But like you mentioned, the ROM was the one that really started to do the damage. I mean, he was in control of the lane early on the entire time, but just finding the long distance autos, the snipes there onto Mike the Magic Carp, and then he finishes off with a little bit of extra damage just to make sure everyone's too low to really continue that engagement.
Yeah, just the understanding of the character, I think, was clearly heavier on the ROM versus the Kronos. We saw him make a couple of stall plays. Here he is using the Purification, then you'll see him roll after that fact. Just more understanding on the side of the Hunter, and Cosmic certainly came through in the clutch. I don't want to see him playing Magical stuff in the finals.
Well, he's going to have his hands full up against Arkhill, who's really aggressive in lane. I'm very interested to see that dual lane matchup. Can't wait to see it.
Variety's new team, featuring the likes of Variety and his new team. They'll take on Last Minute Monsters in the finals. That'll be it, and we'll be back in just a few to see that incredible best of 3.
Welcome back to the open bracket once more. Week 2 is still going on, and we're down to final 2 teams of the week. And it's the same 2 teams from last week. Toli, obviously, these guys have qualified themselves now for the relegation battle that will happen now. But at the same time, they still should be working on synergy, ready for those opportunities.
It's going to be very important for last-minute monsters to find a little bit of redemption compared to last week. We saw 2 very quick games as Variety's new team was able to really just almost like pub stomp them, I would say. So it's very important mentally for last-minute monsters to show a good performance this week.
And Variety's new team here, VNT, they played against Dutch Myrmidons last week and struggled a little bit. It did end up going 3 games, but we saw what last-minute monsters could do against them. And then again in the finals, we saw what VNT did. So overall, like the story's kind of there for the most part. We'll see how this one plays out.
Variety's new team is a little inconsistent last week in terms of their performance against Dutch Myrmidons, like you mentioned. But in the finals, where it matters the most, that's when they put the pedal to the metal. They're able to really perform at a high level. So they just have to clean up their floor a little bit because their ceiling is just so high. If you look at their roster as well, you know, they have a few members from different teams. Arco in the Hunter position, Cuvo, Fred. We have Trickstain coming from Orbit GG. Obviously, Zero's the coach, formerly from Energy Fnatic before that. Now joined up with Variety, who could be considerably the MVP of all of HRX had Obey won that set.
Had they won, but instead it was Energy that ended up coming out on top there overall. We'll see that when we get into the picks and bans, how this one's going to play out. I'm expecting Thanatos bans. I'm expecting Erlang Shen more than likely. We've seen a lot of that at the end of Season 3, and it's all been very aggressive from the get-go of every game.
You have to be very aggressive in the early game with the junglers. Try to get a good solo and jungle synergy just to be able to maybe invade the speed buff, or at least make it less tempting for the enemy to invade your speed buff, to not disrupt your flow, and then your strategy can still be executed the way you've been practicing the whole time.
Well, overall, this is going to be the last game. Pretty much the open bracket is going to be for Season 3. Then we move on to Season 4 as well. So things will change up there, but this will be the final set we'll see from Europe at least. We have North America tomorrow. Variety's new team will be first pick, first ban. They're going to be on the blue side. Order side, as you know, at home, and Jingwei will be their first choice of
There's
ban.
a lot of things you can really take off the table, so it makes sense as to why Variety's new team takes away Jingwei. You look at Arkle, he likes to play a lot of these aggressive gods, the Anher, the Uller every now and then. So Jingwei is more of like a passive god in the early game, more revolved around the farming. Anytime you get poked out, you'll just go back to base, utilize that passive, and then continue farming.
You mentioned passive there. Well, the passive on Nike is so good that people are continuing to ban it out as well. Influences the whole game to an extent. Well, not just to an extent. It does influence the whole game. Not necessarily from minute 1, but as the game goes on, you start stacking up those passive for extra movement speed. Really comes into play.
Especially considering if you do go for an aggressive team composition where you're looking for team fights, you'll get those passive stacks relatively quickly. The first 2, you got to get about 200 minions, and then you get those 10 god kills for your team. You're going to get a lot of movement speed and a lot of increased damage, making it difficult for the enemy team in those team fights. So that's why normally you'll see Nike ban if you're the second pick.
Well, Freya's been picked up straight away for Variety's new team there, over more than likely towards Arkle in the duo lane. He likes to play the Anher as well, but Freya's one of the top go-to mages. It was been a lot of Jingwei, Chronos, Sol, and Freya. And in response, Minute Monsters here, the last Minute Monsters, we should say, Ratatoska, Kepri as their first 2. So they're already looking for a dive composition with some backup of the backline to be able to revive. And we saw Half Devil earlier on have a good game on it.
It makes sense. There's a lot of control with the Kepri as well between the root and the abduct. It makes it very annoying, especially going against the Sylvanas. That could be a very easy target for last-minute monsters to exploit. And like you mentioned before, this makes it that much easier for Ratatoska to look for a squishy in that backline and then have Kepri bail him out, especially when that squishy is the Freya.
And also with the Giannis picked up by Variety's new team, they're going to Zeros, one of the more established mid laners who has played this in the past. Obviously, we've not seen Zeros in the mid too much recently, but he is back to where a lot of people said was his best role.
And with this Giannis, the way he performed on it the last week, he was always in and out of the action, but he would bait himself out to get to like 50 to 25% health, come back out, utilize those unstable vortexes through the wall very efficiently. He knows just how to optimize his character to the maximum capabilities. So I like the way he's been transitioning back into the mid role after having a lot of downtime in the SPL.
Well, the Zeus juices are going to be on the table for Minute Monsters now. Going to the counterban phase, it's Fenrir and Thor, so focusing on Kivo Fred's potential jungle options here. Obviously, it's not something we talk about much, but Freya can technically jungle. It's not something we're going to see in this meta, though, I predict. So it's quite likely that Minute Monsters are doing the right thing with their bans here.
I like the Bellona ban because of the Scourge, obviously, would deter the Freya in the mid to late game. It's a very long disarm. You don't really want to deal with that. Now, granted, mid. You don't have to worry about Fafnir since you already have the Khepri. You're not likely to run that in the solo lane. So taking away that disarm option is huge, especially the on-her to allow Arkle to farm a little safely in the early game until he gets that Fatalis power spike.
Well, we mentioned the Hunters and the AD Carriers being mainly focused by mages there. Freya was one of them. Kronos is definitely another after Anher has been banned out. Pretty wise to ban the Anher there, though, as well. It's got a good matchup against Freya.
Yes, you always want to play very aggressive. On her specializes in the early game, whereas Freya is struggling a little bit until needs a little bit of babysitting until the Fatalis and the boots come online. So this is why we see the bans. And immediately after the Kronos, locked in for Variety's new team is going to be the Tyr and the Hunbats, two very aggressive gods here.
Yeah, very, very aggressive composition from VNT. Minute Monsters, though, have a nice little balance here, I want to say, between the two. Between their squad so far. Obviously with the Khepri for the backline protection of Zeus and Kronos and Ratatoskr to dive in. I do feel they need something else that's going to go deep a little bit here. I think that's where we see the Guan Yu.
A lot of sustain, a lot of resiliency coming out of last minute monsters between this Khepri and the Guan Yu. So if they can get to the mid game relatively safely, we should see potentially more team fights go their favor. But if Variety's new team is the first one to start the encounter, the Sylvanas and Hunbats ult is very disruptive, and that could be very problematic for last minute monsters.
Well, I'm looking here right now, Tolly, at the duo, so the right-hand side of the map, for the most part, the solo lane with the jungler combining here. We're going to have Guan Yu, Ratatoskr, Tyr, and Humbats. Does one have a favor over the other? Should one be playing more defensive at the start of the game here?
Yes, the Guan Yu has to be very mindful about his positioning against the Tyr. Has to always be looking for the Tallow Assaults before the Fearless comes out, maybe even baiting that out potentially in an awkward position, as you're not going to be able to get knocked up. And with the Tyr change where you don't have to put a point into that power stance switch, that's going to allow Variety to really control the laning phase in the very get-go.
Well, Last Minute Monsters going to group up as 5 at the beginning of this game and walk into enemy territory. They do see Cuvo Fred, but Variety's got himself snuck round the back for the time being, so if something did go off, he could get involved.
Trix Tank is doing a wonderful job just separating the routes, making sure that it's a little bit of a distraction. Normally, Sylvanas will go to the mid-tower, drop a route there for the MP5, drop one in the solo lane potentially, but recognizing that this meta currently in Season 3 still is very aggressive in terms of invading, those 3 routes can be the difference between having more mana for another ability or not.
And the funny thing is, if you look at actually the rosters here and the relic choices, teleport for both the solo and there's no Wrath available for either team here. Hog not going to be utilized this game whatsoever, so I don't predict early invades. Obviously, you can tell that by how the game is now started.
Well, level 12, though, that could be a different option, it being explored as the supports will hit that mark, but I don't really expect it because at level 12, you basically need more team fighting relics. So unless you're so far behind that you have to worry about the enemy securing any sort of objectives with a big damage burst ultimate. Obviously, Zeros has through space and times. Detonate is going to be very good as well for Mr. Stefan, so that could be one option for these supports.
Now, very, very interesting start to this game as the right-hand Harpy's being looked at here and looking to be taken by last-minute monsters. Looks like it did go their way, but Trix Tank started off in the mid lane here at the beginning of the game. They left Freya on her own, which means the minute monsters on the left-hand side with Khepri staying around here is able to steal away the boars and continue to pressure her a little bit.
It's a win-lose situation for Arkle on the Freya on the left side because she's going to get a lot of experience, but not too much gold. But Cuvo Fred, though, taking a little bit of poke, but not much follow-up, as we saw. Mr. Stefan still making sure that that wave doesn't hit his tower. He doesn't want to lose all that gold.
And you saw what happened with Half Devil. They're using the abduct, trying to pull them away. His team weren't really in position to follow up there. And in the end, the left-hand Harpies do go down. There's a ever so slight lead in favor of VNT right now, the blue team. And they're just going to continue this pace with Trix being in the mid lane already. It is going to force Khepri to come over here as well.
And that could be a little bit of an issue for Last Minute Monsters. The way Half Devil has been playing recently, he's been kind of on his own for the most part. He's still trying to shake off a little bit of the rust and the cobwebs, I would say, since he's been playing in the SPL again.
Well, let's talk about cobwebs. I know one person that's not got any right now, which is Variety on the tier, back to his best. Up against the Guan Yu here. Obviously, Tallow Assault can avoid the Fearless knock-up, but if Variety times it right, he can turn that back around.
That's very true. You have to be very mindful about when you utilize that ability. But in the mid lane, though, barely able to get through that portal. Great escape from Zeros. Yet again, just great performance on this Giannis.
Don't think we would have seen the kill there either way, just because Zeros did have Purification still available if he needed it for the most part there. So it could have potentially burned that relic, but right now, all good stuff from VNT. Nice aggression for Minute Monsters, though.
Absolutely, but Variety getting the better end of Rebound currently. Looking at the potion situation, still has 1 health and 1 mana pot for Rebound, but Tyr with 1 health pot still has a good mana pool to really continue this pressure. Should be able to clear this wave relatively effectively. aggressively, but it's going to be safer because the mini wave is slightly more into his tower. But Variety misses that dash, so he doesn't get the aggro. He tried to pull the melee minions into the archers, but he's still getting off a decent amount of poke.
But the heal will come through again. Talk to me about those potions a little bit as well. Hang on a second, because Kivo Fred in the jungle, Fear No Evil, going to force the rat to fall back a little bit there. Still only level 4. Half Devil going to try and abduct Kivo away to allow Mr. Stefan on that Zeus to set up, but unfortunately, no real things coming from it.
And that was just a little fight over the Fire Giant elementals. This just goes to show how important that 90 gold is just for the jungler alone, recognizing that seems to be miscommunication there because Cubo Fred's ultimate was down.
Yep, and the team should have been communicating it was down, but instead Rebound playing it better safe than sorry there, burning that ultimate. But now Variety will know the cavalry charge is down. Bats could come over here. Cubo Fred could look to gank, or Variety could look for the solo kill, knowing he's got his ultimate available.
And without that cavalry charge, anytime Rebound uses the dash, that's going to be an instant target for Variety. Going to be a Lawbringer into the Fearless, trying to get him out of that tower range. So we see a double invade between both of these teams, and I really like the idea. It's like, all right, you're going to take our speed and blue, we're just going to take yours in response.
And nobody's going to be there in time. However, Rebound's in a bit of an awkward position here. Has to dash back to safety, but luckily enough, if he did get in trouble there, Half Devil on that Kepri was waiting in the wings.
Cubo Fred's ultimate's still on cooldown for another 40 to 30 seconds or so, so going to be a little bit of downtime until we see some action coming out of Variety's new team. Normally, he's all over the place, but currently he's electing to be more in a safer position, trying to farm, trying to get more cooldown reduction. Probably going to go into the Yona Trap. No, it's actually going to be the Hydra's Lament started for him as he back to base.
Yeah, we'll see what he ends up doing with that. As the left-hand Harpies here going to go the way of Minute Monsters. Variety's new team want to take their red buff here, give this one over to Zeros more than likely in the early game. As back in the solo lane, the solo lanes continue doing solo lane things.
This is what you have to do as tier. Once you hit that level 4, the level 7 rather, you have the level 4 of your heal, so you're going to be able to really poke out. You could take even 2 tower shots, no problem. The cooldown is so short that you can always be able to be in that right position. And with this bullying potential now coming out of Variety, he's able to clear the wave, deny gold from Rebound, as the tower is going to take away 3 melee minions at least and pick up those elementals.
And now with that opportunity, he can even potentially rotate towards mid lane and the right-hand Harpies as his team looks towards the Gold Fury here. It is only Trickstank and Cubo Fred doing this though, so it's going to take a while. Freya will start to swing a bit, but nobody on Minute Monsters knows this going on. No response. And instead, it'll be a free Gold Fury, the way of VNT.
And Hestrick was in the right-hand side. They had no idea. There was no vision coming out of them. The Zeus was still in middle, trying to get that wave, but it was very important for Zeros to stay in mid, keeping Mr. Stefan distracted long enough to allow those 3 members from Variety's new team to get the free objective at the 5-minute mark.
And it's one of those things that you can do with Giannis as well, because he can still get to the fight with the poles, get his team away from the fight if need be. Mid lane, bit of pressure here on Tadrix, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble here. Space and time to the face will make sure Cubo Fred can pick up the kill after the Fear No Evil.
That was so important that Fear No Evil not only hit Hestrick, but it also hit Half Devil, which prevented Half Devil from using his own ultimate to save Hestrick in the process. Beautifully positioned by Cubo Fred, and on top of that, the damage coming out of Zero's ultimate was also required to burst him down quick enough before Half Devil stopped being mesmerized.
See more pressure in the mid lane here as Cubo Fred with Trickstank wrapping around the back, looking at Mr. 7, and he's rooted in place now. Half Devil has the ultimate available, and well timed after the unstable Vortex. Zeros would have cleaned that up. They will stay standing for now with just the 1 loss of life.
Literally the last quarter second to half second, Half Devil was waiting to get off that ultimate. He could have also played it a little bit safer, just get it off there,
early.
give increased movement speed just to be able to go into that tower, but he waited for that unstable Vortex from Zeros and literally pulled it off right before both of those orbs hit.
And that's the funny thing about playing Kepri as well. Sometimes it might be better to just pop it early, you know, but in that situation, he timed it for the right moment, because if you make those mistakes then, your teammate could just fall down dead.
Absolutely. Better to play it safe than sorry, but Half Devil's mechanics, definitely no rust or cobwebs there, so I like his performances. He just has to clean up a little bit of the miscommunication. We saw him earlier on the left side mid Harpies trying to go for an engage while the rest of his team was still clearing out mid.
Yeah, right now you can see the 2 support players as well. A lot of magical defense already been worked on by Trickstank there. Half Devil, meanwhile, hasn't headed back to base recently, I feel. He's got a lot of gold in inventory based off his net worth here, so we'll see exactly what he goes back to buy as well. I'm expecting he's probably going to look for magical defense as well, especially against 2 mages on the team, but Space and Time on the right-hand side been fired here, and already we got a dead member. No chance there for Rebound to get out of dodge before Cubo Fred and Variety combine, and even Zeros was covering the option.
Variety had full health during the whole time. Rebound got really bullied out there, only having that tier 2 breastplate of Valor, so not able to really survive. This is the point in downtime when you can still bully the go on you, as his sustain is just not quite there yet. You're maxing the Talu Assault just to be able to clear the wave, and as a result, you're going to be struggling. But whereas the tier, his clearing of the wave is also his heal at the same time, which gives him a huge advantage in lane.
Well, the Goon squad that is Trickstank and Cuvo Fred are starting to link up a little bit more now, invading the jungle on the left-hand side. However, on the opposite side of the map as well, you can see exactly what Hestrix is doing, trying to answer this back with invasions of his own. The only difference is he's only getting that experience on his own, not with his team.
Not at all, but he got the back left Harpies. He elected not to go for the red buff. It has been dropped down. Actually, it was still dropped down, but now in the mid lane, they're going to find the defensive ultimate, but Mr. Stefan still wants to kill the portal from Zeros, getting him out of trouble.
Yeah, big key there was Trickstank actually all in for defense to make sure Zeros got away, and then Zeros returned the favor overall there. It's kind of what you need from these teams as time goes on, making sure you support each other to get out of bad situations.
That's where you can see the difference of communication levels between these two teams. Obviously, Rebound using that cavalry charge earlier on when Cuvo Fred's ultimate was still down. So I like the way Variety's new team has been able to adapt compared to their last week, because like we mentioned before, mechanically, they're all very sound players, but they just have to clean up a little bit of the diving situation. So they have a little bit of a lead now, about 2,000 gold at this point, with only 2 kills, having an early 5-minute goal fury as well. The question is, how do they extend this a little bit further? Are they going to play a little bit more safe and go for a grouping up with Trickstank sustain, or are they going to keep making these side lane plays of their own?
I think we're going to keep an eye on Cosmic this game as well. He's Ice HD on the side of Last Minute Monsters. He's got a small lead at the moment, I'd say, over Arkil. They're both level 11, but Cosmic did ding level 11 a little bit earlier with a full minion wave coming in. However, in the jungle, a bit of a setup here from VNT.
Half Devil, though, out of position. He's going to get caught up by Trickstank and Zeros, whereas Cuvo, Fred, and Arkil are going to collapse back onto him. That Fear No Evil might be long enough to find the kill, but he's going to get out.
And now it could be a turnaround here if they want to go for it. And there we go. You can see Hestrix in the sky looking to dunk. Where's the target going to be? He was thinking about Cuvo Fred, who's half health, but he said it was the tree. He splits the difference here. Now goes on to Cuvo Fred, but Cuvo's just buying time as meanwhile Trickstank has fallen down. We're following this fight through as eventually Cuvo does fall to Hestrix, but Hestrix ends up getting picked up by Arkil.
Trickstank fell in the backhand side as well. Now Arkil is left alone against 2 members from Last Minute Monsters. The Detonate is going to be able to chunk him down. Finds him finally.
Lawbringer in, Fearless takes up 1. However, turned on now by Cosmic as well as the support of Rebound. And with the rewind available, Last Minute Monsters are turning this fight around.
So important for Cosmic to have that Winged Blade because he had the health pool to survive it. Now he has the movement speed to be able to chase this, and Zeros' portal was a little bit too out of position. And Variety sacrificing a life. Overall, that was a 3-for-1 as Trickstank has respawned from that last engagement.
Very interesting over there. I mean, Hestrix died as well, so it's a 3-for-2 in the grand scheme of things. But it was a fantastic little trade between the two. It was VNT that went aggressive. We saw Last Minute Monsters reinitiate, but they split their difference of where they wanted to go. And that did cause them a couple of issues, but worked out well in the end.
That's the key to the success of Zeus. If you're out of position, even remotely, that area of effect damage is just too much to handle. With the same exact thing goes with Variety's new team between the Hunbats and the
Half Devil
Sylvanas.
going to get knocked up, but they don't care about Half Devil. They want Hestrix here, who dashes away. Cuvo going to come straight back into the somersault and the Fear No Evil, but Half Devil's there with the ultimate, but they're not going to park it. He's still in trouble.
He's still in trouble. Trickstank is going to try to find the pull, but yet again, Mr. Stefan doing so much damage to Cuvo Fred. One in hand connects. The pull is going to save Cuvo Fred for now, but Hestrix into the sky. He wants it more.
Cuvo Freddy's already dead though because the minions cleaned him up. Great play from both the support players overall here to keep their teammates standing. However, Variety's still here with a Lawbringer looking towards the target, looking for a Fearless if he can. Change his stance, looking for an opportunity, but right now, Mini Monsters, they're on the run, and poor old Half Devil, he's the one alone.
No ultimate for him, but that's going to be an overall 1-for-1. Cuvo Fred still dead. A nice little route. The pull might be available here. They're going to dive. Zeros takes the portal in between Tier 1 and Tier 2. Nowhere to go. Overall, 2-for-1.
And Zero's there. You saw what he did. He was on full health. He knew he could take a couple of tower shots and still be very, very comfortable. Take him, cut off the option of escape, and turn it around into a kill. However, maybe VNT bit off a bit more than they can chew, and now Trickstank has been chopped down.
This is what we were talking about with VNT. You know, they get a little bit of a lead, they get a little bit too comfortable, and they overstay their welcome. But Variety doing a good job, still grabbing the blue buff and doing so much poke damage in return. Now, Rebound is in a good spot, though, for sustain.
Cosmic gonna have to be forced to rewind here, and Arkil could be in trouble because Half Devil's over here too. Scratch that because Cuvo Fred was in the wings as well. Fear No Evil focusing on Cosmic, but Cosmic in a good enough position. Zeros wants to give chase, realizes he can't do that, tries to turn on Half Devil, but in the end, both the Hunters and the team stay standing.
Yet again, Wingblade doing so much work for Cosmic, having the health, having the movement speed, they accelerate, boosting on top of this, but Zeros is not done yet. The unstable Vortex almost caught Cosmic before the ultimate.
I don't know about staying in here, Cosmic. He could have walked away. Instead, he lives to fight another day. Drops the base to Zeros. And that could have sent Cosmic back to base, but now he's in trouble himself.
But the portal's gonna get him out of trouble. Heshek's ultimate was already used just to be able to engage Akira Fred, forced into the purification, clean kill onto Cosmic, and Half Devil has no mana to really chase this.
Got really messy between the two teams now. It started off slow. It started off EU, but on the top side, Variety is swinging around, and we're going to continue to see the fights. The blink is there, and he's going to find Half Devil. Great pull to follow up from Trix, but still Half Devil standing and a force heal in response.
And that's going to be the Lawbringer, finds the kill onto Half Devil. Stefan's ultimate was used. He's into the sky. Arkel doing so much damage. Cubo Fred finding the kill, 2 for nothing, and they could go for the gold.
And this is messy. Overall, totally, let's be honest, it just started off 7 minutes of nothing into just constant fighting everywhere from right side of the map all the way to left. And now the Gold Fury is available.
This is a similar story to the first game of the last week, because the last game was actually 29 minutes, and that was able for Variety's new team to really show how dominant they are.
Cavalry charge from Rebound, trying to force the reset, but he gets aggro. Gold Fury goes down. It looks like it did go the way of the last minute monsters there, but Rebound will play with his life there overall. Works out well, I guess, for last minute monsters.
Definitely worth it. 13-minute mark. You're going to get a lot of gold for your team at this point, and more importantly, you denied for Variety's new team to snowball on you. But the question is, it looks like Variety's new team, they're just going to group up with that now. Without the sustain from Rebound, they're going to have the sustain from Sylvanas on the side of BNT.
Great pull again from Trixtang there onto Heshek's. Going to force the purification early. The damage from Unstable Vortex going to force him back to base as the tier 1 falls, which evens things up after the Gold Fury going down.
Cosmic trying to get that tower on the left-hand side, but now we see Arco. He was contemplating rotating on the left-hand side, but Zeros might have been in trouble instead, waiting for that red buff potentially to respawn. He could catch Cosmic out of position, looking for the 1v1. He finds the whoop, but he wants more.
And can we see this fight between the two? Both have ultimates available. Relic burnt there by Arco. Going to force the ult very early on. Cosmic, one hit from Death, and he tried to hold off. It wasn't good enough in the end. Meanwhile, though, in the mid lane, Zeros did fall down to Mr. Stefan after the space and time was fired.
Really surprising trade there. Heshek trying to find a rotation without the ultimate from Arco. It's a very easy and tempting target to go on to, and you kind of have to exploit these magical hunters anytime you can. Unfortunately for Cosmic, he didn't respect the damage coming out of Valkyrie's discretion. Being level 15 at this point gives you a lot of damage, especially if you're leveling up that ultimate. Normally, you don't really want to go for the whoop. You want to leave it at level 1 for the most part, just to make sure that the rest of your team can capitalize off of it.
And the way this game's gone so far, Tolly, only 15 minutes in, you look at the level difference, and it's not massive at the moment, is it? I mean, there's 3,000 experience, but when you split that across 5 people, it doesn't really amount to much, but it is something.
It's a slow and steady, comfortable lead coming out of Variety's new team. Now, granted, had they gotten that last Gold Fury, we could have seen a lot more just grouping up, making sure that they get their items and start getting the team fights. Now, if they can keep finding people out of position the way they have been with Trixtank and Cubo Fred's ultimate, that's the key to Variety's new team's success.
Bit of an awkward situation there for last minute monsters. Hestrix was out of mana, forced to base, and Cubo was waiting in the wings. And already Variety, though, did secure that blue 2v1. He just held on for his Fearless to come up so he could clean it without any turnaround.
Not only does Variety have the blue buff, he also has the Genji's Guard just to be able to get more of that MP5. And not only that, he denies the blue buff for Rebound, which also allows Trixtank to pick up his own blue buff, and these two frontliners with blue buff is going to make the team fights last so long.
You're right, because obviously blue buff overall will allow Guan to sustain more with a conviction, but at the same time, well, they give that sustain now to their sustain themselves in Trixtank, which will allow him to spam those heals a little bit more for the next fight.
Hestrick looking for Arco though, but he gets spotted out. The stun finds him, and the time ripped Arco trying to get off so much damage. Valkyrie's discretion finds it after only 2 shots.
And now the portals come through as well. Arco looking to run away, but reinforcements have arrived. Fear no evil. Going to keep Arco stunning. Cosmic's trying to rewind back to full health, but he's still in an awkward spot. No rotation from his team whatsoever. Zeros picks it up, and that was a call from VNT, recognizing what was going on. Arco took a 1v2, and then the boys reinforced him.
You have to be so careful against boxing a Freya in the late game. She's now level 17, was 16 during that time. Not only that, having the backup of the Giannis through space and time is what VNT has been utilizing this whole game. You can't really not expect expect the rest of the backup squad to come from VNT.
And last time we saw Variety's new team, you know, in week 1 of the open brackets, Oli, they were in a bit of an awkward position. As I say, that rebound is now forced a cavalry charge. But they said themselves they hadn't scrimmed too much before that. They were still working on communication. Well, you saw a lot of communication in this game so far, at least in this first game of the final.
Slow and steady VNT, forcing the Guan Yu ulti on the right, invading the speed a little bit later after that, regrouping and to figure out what they really want to do. Cubo Fred still bouncing between mid and solo without that cavalry charge. That could be an easy target, especially with Fear No Evil.
Blink in, Fear No Evil connects, half health at the moment, his rebound, dashes back towards his tower, but they're going to commit under the tower here. Cubo has aggro at the moment of this tower, very, very tanky indeed, to be able to just weather the storm there, just high enough in level to hit a couple of tower shots before last-minute monsters could reinforce.
Nice little route just to be able to allow Cubo Fred the opportunity to jump with that purification. Half Devil still going really aggressive. Stefan doing a lot of damage, but Hestrick in the sky gonna find the knockup, the sustain, and the pull, keeping Cubo Fred alive.
But Hestrick still wants it, and the somersault comes up at the same time as the dash, and now it's Hestrick's in trouble. Half Devil forced to ult defensively to keep him alive, but Tears there with the Fearless Chain to knock up both, and now Half Devil have fought 2. The Scarab's gonna get turned on now by Cubo Fred, who is just looking to back 2 members down, 3 members I should say, of last-minute monsters.
3 for nothing. Variety's not done. He wants the 4th one. He finds the Lawbringer into the blink. They're diving with Trix Tank as well. Zero's joining them. The Unstable Vortex is going to be doing so much damage. Overall, 4 for nothing.
Crazy, crazy engagement. Meanwhile, Arkil rotated towards mid lane here, making sure he can support the fight if need be, and instead we'll push an extra wave or 2 into the tower, and on the left-hand side you can see Cubo Fred now after force back. He's going to make sure he defends that tier 1. His rebound, still taking this trade, but I don't think he really wanted that trade overall. He's going to pay the iron price here.
Only 1 more shot required, finds it, but now Cosmic trying to find the cleanup. Zeros though with the portals, finds the kill before the rewind, and now Gold Fury is up as well. Instead of going for the tier 2 tower, they're going to get so much in return.
I'll tell you something now, Zero's map awareness on Giannis is absolutely amazing. That's twice now that we've seen Arkil box the Chronos and realize that he's going to be in trouble there up against Cosmic. And before I've even gone, this could be a bad situation. The through space and time has appeared.
The communication is just on point for VNT. Variety has been able to dive that tier 2 tower in the mid lane for free, just waiting a little bit to overextend on the jungle side, just to allow the rest of his teammates to get the tower on the left.
Arkil feeling himself a bit too much there, in a bit of trouble, but luckily enough he's got his back of a Cubo Fred. Stefan's ultimate is good from Zeus, but not enough to pick up Arkil after the detonate comes through, and round the back comes Trix, but Arkil biting off more than he can chew. A couple of times here. I guess you can when you have a lead like this.
I like this, exactly. VNT still showing signs of a little overconfidence, but Trix Tank on the backhand side, they really want Mr. Stefan jumping right before the detonate, getting out with the monkey bounce, but the archers were still on him.
And the archers come into play, but Zeros will turn that one around to make it a 1-for-1. The pull on Half Devil doesn't find a home there. Zeros was fighting 2 there, but sneaks through a portal through the wall back towards his team. The fights continue.
2 for 1. Gold Fury wasn't looked at, but Mr. Stefan is too low to really get out of that one. Zeros is too mobile with the portals, with the threshold, has the CDR with that Chrono Spender. Variety though with the Lawbringer trying to find Cosmic, but that Accelerate gonna keep him alive for a little bit and putting Variety in combat so he can't blink.
Yeah, main thing to really do there. He's looking for the blink now, gonna find it. Fearless only connects at the end, but it was enough for a knock-up. Still Cosmic in trouble. Stun will find a home, and now Cosmic still trying to run away. Sanctuary will keep him alive for now, but the Fearless is back up for Variety once more. He'll pick up Cosmic, and Zero's now in trouble looking for a portal. Will get away. There's 2 members who are still diving the Phoenix.
So many portals from Zeros, getting in and out of danger. This is why he's so scary with this Giannis. I feel like it seems that in the next game at least, they have to explore this option of maybe taking away the Giannis from Zeros, because like we mentioned before, you try to exploit Arkil on the front, the left-hand side, but no, now you have to worry about the portals.
It definitely feels like a bit of a mismatch here between the 2 teams. For me, VNT are kind of playing around a little bit, testing what their limits are as a team, testing their communication in this set more than anything else, seeing what they need to improve on. Are they reinforcing at the right time? How long can we stay in a fight for? You know, just testing these things out for future use.
Half Devil unfortunately didn't get off his ultimate there, so it's going to be a 5-on-4 for a little bit longer as the rest of VNT, the through space and time, almost connecting onto 2 members there, but they're going to die. The tier 2.
Fear No Evil hits onto 3. Into the sky goes the rat, but they're looking at Zeus right now, and Zeus will fall down first to Variety. Next on the list is going to be Hestrix, trying to run down the lane to safety, but with a monkey and a one-armed man chasing you down, there's not much hope for a rat unless minions come into play again.
It's a speed buff. Hunbats, you can't really get away from that one. Finally finding the kill. It's going to be 3-0. Half Devil just now respawning, but we have damage being dealt onto the middle Phoenix. Not too much damage because it is a magical hunter specializing in killing gods, not Phoenixes.
But at the same time, all the towers are now down. That's a big key here. A lot of global gold that's gone into VNT's coffers as this game has continued. We're getting to a point now where it's almost do or die for last minute monsters. I'm not seeing them grouped as a team yet.
No, not at all. And this has resulted into VNT establishing a 12,000 goal lead at the 22-minute mark. This is almost out of control completely for last minute monsters. Their last hope is going to be just to be able to possibly steal this Fire Giant one way or another. And that's very difficult to do against the Fear No Evil that could easily deter you from getting anywhere close.
And you can see the goal graph there. You can see how it just dips down just before the 1704 mark on that, and that's where the goal view was taken by last minute monsters. But since then, it's been fight after fight after fight, and it's been last minute monsters trying to respond to VNT's aggression and not being able to find any wins.
You have to be able to utilize your space control. Between Trickstank and Cuvafred, their double ultimates are just on point always, communicating when they want to do it. They communicate whose purification is down, and then one person starts it between either Trickstank or Cuvafred. They wait a little bit, and then the next person will follow. And they've been on a team together since the launch tournament. Their synergy has always been on point.
Well, I know VNT need the Fire Giant here to really bring down the Phoenixes because the lack of damage they've got on those Phoenixes with Freya. The Fire Giant will help them. However, it's allowed Herstrix to realize the Fire Giant's being done right now. Will we see a contest?
Can't really do much about it because on the left-hand side, Mr. Stefan and Cosmic trying to get at least some gold back into their team's pocket. They found the tier 1 tower. Now they're going to go for the tier 2 with a wave, but it's going to be Variety making the teleport. He has to decide though who he goes on. He misses the Fearless.
So the tower's still going to go down either way. Even if he did hit that Fearless there, that tower was going to fall. The Fire Giant goes the way of VNT, and now it's Mr. Stefan on his own as Cosmic says, peace, I'm out. But Cosmic may get caught back into the jungle there. No, he'll get out, and instead it's Stefan that's going to be left alone to pay the price.
Variety doing a good job just buying time until Zeros finds the ultimate through the left-hand side. The rest of the team is able to make the rotation. The Fear No Evil to buy even more time. Hestrick gonna get soloed?
He is going to get soloed TV1 there. The Fear No Evil just too good. Half Devil didn't have his ultimate available there. As Arkil cleans up rebound, and Cuvafred is having fun now. Like, VNT are beating them into fights. Last minute monsters want to fight, but VNT are showing that they're on their own and still into fight. Should give you an idea this is not a good idea.
This is how you know a team is just dominating completely. Hestrix dies to Cuvafred. Rebound dying to Arkil in 2 separate 1v1 encounters, and now with that Half Devil getting picked off as well. The Cuvafred into the purification, almost getting body blocked there, back into the timer of Cosmic. Wants to find a return kill, but the rest of VNT, they're not worried about killing Cosmic. It's only one member alive. As long as everyone from VNT gets this mid Phoenix and keep Cosmic distracted, there's no defense for the Titan.
Well, Stefan has just respawned on the Zeus, however, as we're watching Cosmic going to take a tumble more than likely here. The rebound will come out, but he's still going to have to continue the trade once more.
Arkil still full health. He dodges the stun, does get hit by the time rift, and realizing the game is not in his favor, just going to sacrifice his life. He had no more cooldowns available.
Yeah, when he misses those cooldowns, when he misses the stun, he knows he's going to be in an awkward position against Arkil there. Arkil still had Sanctuary available as well if he needed it on top of that, but 2 Phoenixes now down for VNT, and it's a bit of do or die situation for last minute monsters for a while now. Obviously, the last minute monsters here, Totally, I'm pretty sure by their name it suggests that they put themselves together on a whim at the start of the Open Brackets in week 1. They've done well to get to the finals twice, but they've walked into a much harder opposition.
Absolutely. Variety's new team is no joke at this point. They're a team that is so mechanically gifted, and their communication has just been so on point this whole game. Their invades, their ability to get an early goal here at the 5-minute mark, and now they're going to be able to end this first game faster than they ended the first game the last week.
They're looking very good for them right now at 26 minutes on the clock. The Titan is below 25% health. The Titan is on 0 health right now. VNT take game 1. Now, obviously, Totally, you know, these two teams, they've already qualified to go into the relegations fight overall. They're obviously playing for, not necessarily seeding, because seeding doesn't matter as it's a round-robin format, but they are still preparing themselves.
It's still like a competition, and you want to be tested to your limits at this point. Despite what happens between now and the relegations, new season or not, you have to be able to come and be able to perform at your highest level. You cannot allow a team to get the better end of you.
And that's one of the reasons I think we see VNT doing so many shenanigans there, of like hanging around with 2 health, health and trying to continue to fight because they want to test the limits of the team.
They're feeling a little bit loose, but they got themselves a very comfortable lead, so they're willing to kind of, you know, play around with LMM a little bit longer just to see what they can really get away with, especially considering the fact that Arkil was doing a good job. He was able to 1v2 Hestrix and Cosmic before the rest of VNT showed up through Zeros' portals.
When we look at picks and bans for Game 2, then what adaptations do you want to see coming out from the last-minute monsters here? Is it going to be focused on certain people, or is it just take away the big stuff as usual?
Well, with Arkil playing the Freya, I would have liked to see more earlier pressure from last-minute monsters just to shut him down, not allow him to get into that mid to late game, especially when they have a good magical hunter of their own, Cosmic, playing that Chronos. But I would like to see them at least explore the opportunity and the option to take away the Giannis from Zeros.
Bit surprised as well by seeing the Kepri drafted by last-minute monsters over a Sylvanas. And Sylvanas, you know, recognized as probably one of the more dominant ones with the sustain in the support role right now at the start of the game, whereas Kepri's kind of the secondary when Sylvanas is taken away from you.
It seems that maybe Half Devil was very comfortable with this guy. We saw him being played in the last set, so this is something that they're more comfortable with because he can't really take away gods from Trickstank necessarily. He'll play Warriors. He doesn't even care. You take away any Guardian from him, he wants to play Warriors. He wants to play Sun Wukong or Erlang Shen just to invade your red buff potentially.
Well, let's see what happens in Game 2 then. Picks and bans should be ready for us to go into straight away and see if we can get it. It is a best of 3 overall, so see if we can get a tied game here. If Minute Monsters can fight their way back in, the first chance to fight back in is going to be they have chosen to be first pick after losing the last game.
And then we'll see what kind of adaptations they make. Last time they did ban away the Nike and the Erlang Shen to start, so this time around they're going to ban away the Freya, recognizing Arkil's potential with that god. It seems that maybe last minute monsters, they don't really care about camping that dual lane, so this is why they ban away the Freya, and this will allow them to have a 1v1 between those two hunters and still focus on other sides of the map.
We'll see if 1v1s do happen, so the focus is on the Giannis and the Freya from Minute Monsters. Variety's new team will take away Jingwei and Nike. Quite a few things still available on the table, though. Thanatos is one that I want to mention. It's not something that we see all the time picked up, but when you're against Variety's new team, you kind of have to recognize that.
And instantly, no hesitation being picked up. Variety's new team did ban away the Thanatos the last game, recognizing this last-minute monsters wants to not only have this for themselves, but not allow Cuvo Fred with it, because any sort of momentum he gets, he's going to be unstoppable.
I was going to say, Zeus Sylvanas here could be an option for Variety's new team. Obviously, we mentioned Sylvanas in the last game. Trix will happily run it back if the option is available for him, but they're going to go with the Chronos here, more than likely for Arkil. Obviously, with the Zeus drafted, it kind of points it's going to go into the Hunter role.
It's a lot of magical damage for VNT, so last-minute monsters has to either shut it down early, not allow them to get the levels that they need, or go heavily into the magical defense. Now picking up a Toth, trying to match the magical burst.
I don't mind the Toth too much just because that final judgment, the ultimate in the mid lane, can be set up quite easily by a Thanatos. Thanatos ult can just be used like a Thor ultimate
for the
to stun straight into the final judgment. Could cause a lot of problems for them. And once again, they're going to go with the Kepri over Sylvanas. Still surprised by that.
I'm not really too worried about the Kepri pick versus the Sylvanas option. I would have liked to see maybe taking away the Sylvanas because of how much it synergizes with the Zeus. That's the problem. But it's still going to allow Hestrix to go into that backline, make aggressive plays, and getting bailed out by Half Devil.
Well, that's if Hestrix is going to be playing it there. It could go in the solo lane for rebound. We've seen a lot of solo lanes pulling out the Thanatos now and again here. Counterband's now coming through. I'm expecting to potentially see some focus onto the solo lane here of Minute Monsters, trying to focus onto Variety's new team.
It seems that last-minute monsters are going to take some global options away. The Thor potentially is going to be the Ratatasker immediately after. Bellona ban yet again, just for the Scourge, making sure that Arkil will be able to still get off the in-hands that he needs, but it's not as prevalent as it was to the last game, because Freya is a lot better at in-handing than the Chronos. Chronos can still heavily rely on his abilities.
But it's also
damage.
Zeus as well. I mean, he gets a lot of his passive stacks for his Detonate off those in-hands too, so it would shut both of them down at the same time there. Honbat's banned out, so they're trying to focus on Cuvo Fred here. Minute Monsters, Variety's new team will pick up Erlang Shen, which is very flexible, can jungle, can go in the solo lane.
That's what you have to do when you're second pick. You have to leave a little bit of doubt in the opposition. It's like, what are they planning with this one god? So now, last-minute monsters, they're going to have to try to prepare for not only Erlang Shen in the solo, but also in the jungle, and figure out their picks and bans as a result. So Tyr going to get locked in. That's going to be very easy to sustain in the laning phase. But now Shibalanke, I like the synergy there, because you have the Darkest of Nights. Anytime Hestrix goes in the sky, you're not going to see him coming.
You're not going to see the final judgment coming either. You can hear it, but you're not going to see exactly which direction it's going to come from, that's for sure. Makes it a little bit even more tricky with the Darkest of Nights. And I was going to say Ratatosker is up and available. That's still flexible for me. I've seen Variety run Ratatosker in the solo, and I've seen Erlang Erlang Shen in the jungle before.
True, but without the Giannis for Zeros in this game, electing to go for the Zeus instead, more than likely it should be Cubo Fred playing the Ratatasker just for the global pressure. Maybe look for some kills in the side lane, trying to shut down the Xbalanque in the early game. You don't want to see him getting into that mid to late game with any sort of stacks on his passive.
Yeah, I think we see Ratatasker on Cubo Fred. I want to say just because of the double ultimate with him and Sylvanas, double knockups, and as well, you're going to set up the Zeus for the massive damage from that ultimate.
Looking at the relic selection, now we do see a hog this game around at level 1. Hestrick electing to go for some sort of potential invade here. Now, between Tyr and Thanatos against Erlang Shen and Ratatasker, that's a little bit risky, but when you have 5 players, that's a different story.
Well, they did this last game. They didn't manage to find anyone in a position here, but they might be able to this time round. Thinking about swinging round to the speed buff now, but the positioning here of the boys of VNT will recognize it early. Cubo Fred just happy to watch them from distance, knowing they can just walk away if need be. And once again, last minute monsters failed to find the pick they were looking for.
Great separation from VNT, recognizing they don't want to fight. They're going to pinpoint and separate their players. One at the tier 2 in solo, one at the tier 1 in solo, and one at the tier 2 in mid, just to triangulate the vision control, and then as well as 2 players on the left-hand side to spot out any sort of rotation. But last-minute monsters, they really want to commit to this.
They want the speed on the right-hand side, and because obviously Variety's new team have checked their items, they've seen that Wrath, and they're like, you know what, we're not going to go against that. We'll swing around the back and invade ourselves, trade speed for speed. And on the left-hand side, you saw that Trix has actually joined the usual pairings over on the left-hand side, so in the end, this is actually a small advantage for VNT, because they're going to have more experience between these two.
Yes, sharing 3 players on the right-hand side, both Cubo Fred and Variety will have an advantage over Rebound and Hestrick, hitting level 5 first, more importantly, and now going into the laning phase, though, with 3 members, though, even though they're only level 1, that's 3 of them. You don't really want to fight into that.
Oh, well, Variety's going to swing around the back there on the Erlang Shed in the turtle form, just looking to poke the minions down and let them know he's here, but there's the level 2. You can see the 3 members. They do have an opportunity to go for the elementals now. The right Hoppy's already dead.
They're going to get collapsed on, though, because right side mids have been taken by the Sylvanas and the Zeus, and now collapsing. It is going to be a 4-on-4.
Trix is a little bit out of position there for a
damage.
second. That scythe did hurt, but he's tanky enough to just weather the storm for the time being. Elementals go down. Left Harpies are currently down as well. For all intensive purposes, we're still even, but VNT have a slight edge.
But in the mid lane, though, Cubo Fred taking a lot of poke. The abduct onto Zeros, taking a lot of poke. Cubo Fred barely able to escape that one with the dash. Great advantage for last-minute monsters if they wanted to start rotating aggressively, but there's not really much to take except for those back right Harpies.
That's true, Shells versus Shells, but over in the dual lane, it's a real man fight here. Kronos versus Xbalanque. The minion wave is coming into play too. And Cosmic could lose it here. No, he will survive. The poison as well as the archers just did enough.
No.
What a crazy trade. Cosmic comes out on top, but in mid lane, Zeros has the answer here to the jungle that was Hestrix.
That's a Xbalanque with a 1 passive stack, not even 2 minutes into the game, going for the Transcendence. You cannot allow that to happen. That was a smart play also from Cosmic, because he had the lane advantage. He had the melee gladiator minion and those 3 archers that was about to come to his aid. So finding the poison, even though he took the time rift damage, he just recognized that he is going to win that exchange every single time.
Not only that, I believe because of that, he lost a whole minion wave to the tower there, Orkill, which puts Cosmic in an even better position. Talking about positions, Variety's in trouble here, but the Turtle Shield comes into play. Is continuing here, rebound on the tier to sustain back up.
Looking at the potion situation, though, 2 multi-pots for Variety, 1 and 1 on the side of rebound, but Variety should hit level 5 first, and with Trix Tank rotating in the soul lane, he'll have the wisps to sustain him a little bit further, and there could be a little bit of a play onto this tier if he's not careful.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on Cosmic here. I said it last game when he was playing the Kronos, because he was the one that seemed to be doing well in his lane, and now with that 1 passive stack on that first kill, very important to him. First blood gold as well comes into play to get that Transcendence online a little bit quicker.
We'll see how VNT adapts to Cosmic, because we saw Arkle going off in that dual lane the last game when he was playing the Freya, so we have to see some transitions.
Rebound didn't recognize the situation he was in there. Variety going to force the Lawbringer in place. Rebound forced to do that just to stay alive, if anything else.
Ulti for ulti as well. The teleport will have to be used relatively early here for Rebound. I don't think he really wants to do that, but now Trix Tank with Zeros finding Hestrick out of position.
And Hestrick's just being zoned away there by the Zeus ultimate. He wasn't inside the ultimate, but where do you walk to? You can't go into it, otherwise you're just going to die anyway.
The positioning was so good that Half Devil and Mr. Stefan couldn't really go past that, so we saw the separation of that. Half Devil only level 4, not able to really get the revive off, so the timing of it couldn't be any more advantageous for VNT.
Yeah, talk about the time and speed taken away on the left-hand side. Arkil gets the red buff, and now they're looking at rebound again. Knocked up, but straight into the Fearless to get away back to the tower safety, and Half Devil, still only level 4, does not have his ultimate available here.
They pull into the knockup, nowhere to go, and why are you out of the tower alone? You see the health pool out of rebound. He can't even contest that. This is the communication error between Half Devil that we've seen similar to the last game. He has the mechanics to hit his abilities, but he's just putting himself in these really awkward positions, and VNT are just going to take advantage of it every single time.
That's the way it's going to be the whole time here. Looking at the Hunters once more, small level lead here for Cosmic still, even though Arkil did steal away that red buff on that side, but overall, VNT in the lead is another kill on the right-hand side. Variety's going to solo down Rebound alone.
That's huge now because Rebound, he didn't have his ultimate to be able to survive that. On top of this, his teleport is on cooldown. He's going to miss out this wave, but it seems that Variety electing to go for his blue buff before contesting the wave.
Mid lane, wave is cleared from last minute monsters. They're going to rotate into the jungle to find it's all pretty much down. They could look for a Gold Fury here though, Tully. No one's here.
Potentially, we've seen VNT make an early play for Gold Fury at the last game 5-minute mark, and now it seems that LMM, though, they want to be able to find something more.
Well, they're going to force the purification out of Zeros there at least, and once again set up for a bait, but because of the rotation coming in from VNT with Cubo, Fred and Trickstack over here, they have to just be happy with burning the beats.
Cosmic already finishing off his Transcendence with 22 stacks, able to really have the MP5 that he needs to and the mana pool to just stay in lane forever with this branching bola, and having a little bit of an experience lead, still the same level against Arkil on the Chronos. We could see more power plays, but on the jungle side, Cubo Fred thinking about ganking.
We'll see what he's going to do. He is going to go in there on the left-hand side, but Rising Jaguar to the rescue. Going to save Cosmic an opportunity. However, around the corner comes Hestrix with the dive in with the ultimate, looking for the pickup of the Squirrel. Squirrel's in a lot of trouble. The root will connect through the dash, however, but he's still in a good place. Final Judgment!
Off! Finds it from a distance. Great play, and now Cosmic trying to get Arkil as well. Has to be careful. Jaguar away, but Zeros from the other side. The ultimate. Oh, Half Devil.
Half Devil's going to get the ultimate off, giving them mobility, but Zeros is just waiting alongside Arkil to clean up Cosmic. Had no escape there. Half Devil couldn't get the ultimate off at the right time. To be fair to him, there's nothing he could have done there.
No, not at all. Nothing he could have been done there. So Cosmic taking a spill, but they did find Cubo Fred, who tried to kill Cosmic initially on the left-hand side, slightly overextending himself too close to that tier 1 tower. And now it seems that VNT, after clearing this wave, going to steal the boars away. Gold Fury hasn't been really contested by either party, and that's more importantly on the side of VNT having to worry about the hog coming out of Hestrick.
Yeah, just trying to find small little wins right now, last-minute monsters, it seems. I mean, they picked up, like we said, Cubo Fred there, but they didn't manage to get out clean because of the rotations coming in from Variety's new team. Sometimes they just have to back away and not necessarily recommit if they do escape.
Cubo Fred, though, going to get stunned out by that hog, silenced as well. Half Devil with the abduct. A little bit of damage from Mr. Stefan, but he's still walking away. Rebound not able to capitalize off of that one.
No, Cubo Fred going to walk away. The tree's heading back towards mid lane with a great route from Trickstank, and with Zeros waiting there, they've got to walk away from the shield, otherwise the chain lightning will just slow them down and give them more damage onto them.
VNT gets the elementals, but it seems that last-minute monsters are the ones to get the right side mid-harpy, slightly favoring them. And now Cubo Fred into the sky. He wants to find the top in the mid lane, doing a lot of damage, but can't really cover the distance. He does dash and find the acorns.
And Zeros on the backside does fall down to Cosmic. Another stack there for the Jabberwocky, but he's going to walk right into the rat and be in a lot of trouble. Round the backside, Arkil very low on mana here, not going to be in a good position to really follow up. But Cubo Fred was going to chase down Variety, but Variety's waiting in mid.
And now Rebound with a Lawbringer in the mid lane. Variety finding the kill onto Cosmic. It was a great revive from Half Devil as he takes his spill as well. Overall, it was a 3-for-1 as Mr. Stefan has revived. And this level 9 tier has not been having a good game at all. Level 11 on the side of Variety.
Yeah, really struggling here right now, and now pinned in place with a rotation coming in, looking to get away. The ultimate did not force the knock up there of him, so he will get away, but the pull is even better.
Gonna find the pull, but not enough damage because all the cooldowns that were used from VNT, so at least forcing out Rebound back into the base. He has the teleport to get back into that soul lane, which is very important, especially if Variety is gonna be distracted doing that blue buff. But look at this, last minute Monsters. They're heading towards the Gold Fury.
Yeah, the pace of this game is crazy right now. Ever since we saw Cuvo gank the left-hand side, the fighting has not stopped, and it won't at the Gold Fury either. Zero's going to take a big slice to the back of his head there overall and be forced back, but they don't want to commit their last-minute Monsters, knowing that Arkill was just waiting there on the Chronos to support.
And Half Devil took a lot of damage from that Gold Fury, more than he probably wanted to. He wanted to be able to at least start it up, do a little bit of damage with Cosmic, but with Thanatos going that aggressively, which was definitely worth it on top of Zeros, you got to get rid of the Zeus from the combat. You cannot allow Zeros any positioning to get off the Chain Lightnings, get off that ultimate.
Already you can see notable level differences between the two teams. Variety's new team, last time around we were saying, you know, there's a bit of experience difference at 5K, but at this stage you can see there's actual big differences. 2 levels between the supports is one example.
Exactly. We see the gold difference still being the same compared to the last game, but it was the Gold Fury that was being down for VNT the last game. So they're getting this kind of a lead without any sort of real objectives between gold or the towers. It's just strictly buff invades time and time again. And off of the kills, they're able to just really out-farm last-minute Monsters.
And you saw the net worth on your screen for a second there, and Cosmic is the only player on the side of last-minute Monsters in the top 5. Everybody else around him is just VNT as we watch Variety just continuing to try and pressure rebound.
This is the point where you kind of be aggressive with their long shot, but it seems that Zero's finding the ultimate, but they're all staying inside of it.
And that's going to be an awkward position. Gold Fury goes down the way last-minute Monsters, but the fight may be a different story. However, Mr. Stefan comes up big, still committed there. Is Cosmic looking to slow them down?
Wisps.
The Wisp is good enough, but Zeros is like, no, 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 Trix Tank. I will detonate and clear that one up myself.
No, you're not going to incon me this time around. Detonate, the Trucker Horn, as F-Dot likes to call it, confirms the kill. Mr. Stefan wanting to confirm his own red buff, but Arkill does find it. So overall, 2 for 1, but it was last-minute Monsters that get the Gold Fury, keeping themselves a little bit more alive. That 2,500 goalie now cut down to 2,000.
Yeah, so they're still in the game based off that Gold Fury.
That experience, though.
Experience is really painful for them, and talking about that, they're losing experience on the left-hand side of the map, they're losing experience on the right now as the speed is taken away. Nobody's going to be back at that left-hand tier 1 tower here to get that whole minion wave, and it was a big minion wave by the looks of it. But Zeros, though, being pressured by Half Devil.
He should be fine. He missed the abduct, but every single time that VNT finds a kill and the respawn timers just get later and later as the game progresses, this allows VNT to find the farming anytime they really need to. They get the waves and they deny all the waves to last-minute Monsters.
Minute Monsters looking to pressure the mid lane there, but unfortunately enough, the 2 members of VNT looking for the fight even more. And it's Hestrix in an awkward spot, looking to get to the sky in time. The Wisp is ticking. Is it going to be enough to kill him? He will survive with no HP.
But now, Cubo Fred landing onto Half Devil. The ultimate is not available, still on cooldown, finding the easy pick and also forcing Hestrix out of the team fight. Now the rest of VNT with this 2-man technical advantage, they could push down the mid lane.
But will they go for that? They're a little bit lower mana by the looks of it there. No, actually, tell a lie. They're actually in a good position overall for that. Cosmic forced away from the wave from Arkill, who's always looking for a good old fight there overall. And Half Devil, we saw him take a tumble then. More often than not, though, that's a support player trying to support his team who's caught out and getting caught themselves.
More importantly, I like the way Arkill was able to bounce back after getting first blood. And look at this. He's doing a nice tactic sneak behind. This is the whole important strategy behind Smite. You got to flank from behind. It's not like other games where you can see them coming from the minimap very easily or the overhead view. This is why you always want to go from either the side or behind.
But you don't want to make a mistake like what we saw from Arkill there. He did everything right apart from you could hear him. And talking about hearing him, well, Hestrix, you're not going to hear him much longer, at least for a while. He's going to fall back to base again, 12-4. But when he wrapped around the back there, Arkill, by popping his ability, he gave the sound cue, so he knew, Cosmic knew what was going on.
Just so unfortunate there, giving away his positioning. But either way, still able to clear the way first and then go into the jungle looking for more out-farming potential, getting his own boars. And unfortunately for Hestrix on the right-hand side, without his ultimate, and by going for the Hog and still not level 12 for his second relic, there was no way for him to really get out of danger. Very easy dive for VNT onto that tier 1 tower.
It always feels that when I'm watching Minute Monsters against VNT that the Minute Monsters are never grouped as a whole. They're always 1v2 or 2v3 and then they get reinforcements, where VNT seem to group up a lot better as a team and siege like they're doing now in mid.
That's basically all Trix Tank. He's been able to get in the right position and always sustaining the rest of his team, but now diving on the mid lane. Mr. Stefan gets melted completely. Half Devil wasn't in position. He's rotating from left-hand side.
That was a really weird fight between the two. Talking about weird fight, Cosmic up against Arkill now. Level difference of 2 levels, even though Cosmic did pick up 2 kills. Looking to continue to box. In the mid lane, the fight is still raging on here as the pull from Trix is good.
Oh, he finds the cripple. The ultimate reviving rebound for a little bit longer, but Cubofred and Trixtank has other intentions. Trixtank trying to body block, not allow Half Devil to find the abduct. The root is good. 4 members still able to pick off Half Devil.
And Cosmic, the last man standing on the side of Minute Monsters, not sure where to go. On the left of him is Kronos, stealing away his balls. On the right, in the middle lane, the tier 2 towers falling down, and VNT are just starting to run away with things once more.
This is what you have to do when you find the picks, you find the objectives. Arkill not rotating because he needs to find the levels as well. He's still comfortably ahead out of Cosmic. 2-level advantage for him. This 3-level now as he just hits 15. Still putting pressure on that tier 2 tower on the left-hand side, but he's going to get collapsed on.
Well, he's going to continue to trade here, Arkill, but the trade versus him and a Cosmic is very close. But final judgment comes through from Stefan. He'll pick up a kill, but Cosmic's going to go down in trade.
Great rotation from Variety, able to trade Hunter for Hunter, and now that's going to be a 4-on-4. A little bit more advantageous, I would say, for the side of Last Minute Monsters, taking out a higher level Arkill, giving more opportunities for Cosmic to get back into the game ever so slightly.
Definitely the biggest thing that Minute Monsters need to work on going through relegations is their communication as a team. They have the skill, they understand the picks and bans very well. In 1v1 and 2v2s, they're doing okay. The difference is they're not communicating abilities being down or when hot rotations are coming in.
So much damage coming out of Cubofred as he lands on the sky. Nowhere to go. The Purification was available, but without any vision and without the sound cue, as the position from the ultimate was just far enough to muffle that, was the result of an easy kill onto Stefan, even under the tier 2 tower.
Still 2 members of Minute Monsters looking for their second relic right now. That's the sort of situation they're in as a tier 2 tower falls on the left. Only 2 towers remain that Variety's new team can look to bring down.
VNT are just running away with this one. 8,000 gold lead, 14,000 experience, not even the 15-minute mark. Variety's level 17. VNT, they didn't get the first gold here, but they were able to really capitalize off of it, and now they're going to start it up. They got it to 50% health. Hestrick, though, they find somebody out of position in the mid lane. They want to find a but the Sanctuary is good.
And all Zeros is trying to do there is buy time for his team to take a free gold Fury. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, Rebound versus Arkill. And Arkill wins that one as well.
Not having the Pestilence or the Bulwark of Hope allows an easy kill for Arkill at this point. He is level 16 on the Chronos, though. Trixtank, he finds the Purification onto Mr. Stefan, as well as the Sanctuary. Still not done yet. A nice little pull, and with the ultimate from Half Devil, they're going to try to dive this.
And they're going to wait for Stefan to go down. There's the detonate from Zeros. Phoenix being looked at as Cubo looks at the Scarab at the backside, or should I say Lobster, as he falls down as well. Cubo gets picked up by the Death Scythe, however, from Hestrix, as the rest of VNT are in the mid lane. You can see Arkill's pushing towers down on the right.
Accuracy coming out of Hestrix, finding at least a cleanup kill and also giving him a little bit of sustain, but it's going to be the rest of VNT capitalizing off of a 2-for-1. The middle Phoenix, it's not even the 16-minute mark, and now Cosmic and Hestrix, they're trying to hold for a little bit longer as Rebound has regrouped with his team. Should deter them for a little bit longer.
Yeah, with no minions there as well, is not the best at sieging down towers or Phoenixes, with Arkill being on the right here. They do have to fall back, but it does buy Arkill time to find that tier 2.
It was all an elaborate ruse coming out of VNT. The bigger threat was the middle Phoenix, but tier 2 tower is still very comfortable, getting a good goal lead. The Toth ultimate connects onto Arkill, and with Rebound going in, he finds the Phyllis onto Variety, gonna get stunned out as well. Half Devil, nowhere to go.
But they left Arkill and Zeros alone, focused onto Variety there, allowed the damage to come through. Hestrix comes in looking for the cleanup on Zeros, but Zeros gets some good body blocks coming out from Trixtank there to keep his mid laner standing. VNT getting very low, forced to fall back. The Phoenixes a hole.
They find the kill onto Half Devil. Zeros was really aggressive there, diving past that middle Phoenix on his own. That's not really something you want to do as a mid-mage, but Variety has to escape. We see Cubofred into the sky. He's going to land right on top of Hestrick, and with Trixtank to follow up.
The turnaround is good. 2 members already dead of Last Minute Monsters, and still all of VNT are alive. Obviously, they focus Hestrix there as well, because he's on the Thanatos, someone with the scent of death. He can get faster in the jungle, keep an eye on where they're going, and also execute anyone who's too low.
This is the thing about Thanatos that has been always problematic since its release. It's a very heavily snowball god. If you don't get an early lead, then you're going to run into the situation where now we see Cubofred a 4th-level lead, but now he's overextended on his own. This could be another stack for Cosmic. He uses the ultimate and the speed boost from Half Devil just to get in position for the stack, but it's not enough. The speed buff on Cubo is going to keep him alive.
Not just the speed buff, but his decision to dash before the stun hit actually bought him a big enough window that Xbalanque can't reach with the auto attacks.
Yep.
If he would have just waited for the dash till after the stun, he would have probably died there. Good decision making from Kivo.
Half Devil though out of position. He finds the root, but Trickstank waiting around the corner as we see a one-on-one between Arkel and Cosmic, and that's a 4-level lead for the Magical Hunter, finding an easy kill. And without Cosmic for another 35 seconds, enough time for VNT to maybe find Half Devil.
Half Devil's adventuring through the jungle now, and the jungle is, well, he's not really a jungler now. He's dead support. He's going to go forward back to base 2. Minute Monsters are just too far behind here, Tolly.
Yep.
I don't see a window for them right now. The Fire Giant started up. They have to try and make a stand here. If they get the Fire Giant, they've got a chance, but it's a 12k gold lead.
They could do it. They have the hog onto Hestrix, but it's not low enough, so he's going to land right back down. But he's landing onto a Zeus ultimate. 2 easy kills. 4 members still dead for last-minute monsters. They're trying to find the Deicide. Mr. Steffens dashes down. Deicide, it's going to be a free Fire Giant, and this should be an easy 2-0 clean sweep yet again for VNT.
It's going to be awkward now for them to try and defend, but they still have 3 Phoenixes remaining. They've got a good team fight comp here, last-minute monsters, but the experience and gold difference is too insurmountable, I feel. Plus 20 plus seconds on 2 members. This is a guaranteed at least 1 Phoenix.
28-6. I think that's the same exact score, actually, for both games last week.
That's
if I
crazy.
recall correctly. I have to check that later on. But oh my goodness, Variety's new team has just been so dominant last week and this week against last-minute monsters in particular.
Oh, in mid lane on Half Devil, he's forced out. The Phoenix in middle lane still being sieged here. In comes Cuvo Fred once again. They're going to clean up Half Devil off that one, as well as the Phoenix. And now the decision is, do they go mid, do they go left, do they go right?
The world is their oyster for VNT. They have a lot of sustain between Trickstank and the Fire Giant buff, and a 5-on-4 for another 25 seconds. And Hestrix level 13, frontlining as a tank Thanatos is not something you really want.
A little bit risky at backdoor in here. Variety's new team with no minions on their side. It's going to take them a little bit longer. But on the right-hand side, they have allowed Kivo Fred to continue to push down the right and keeping Cosmics isolated.
And the Tricks ain't going to fall for his transgressions. Hestrick finding the pick off. The ultimate was used as well. They have to be grouped up if they want to find more Phoenixes and try to push out those minions. You have to make the Phoenix a little bit more vulnerable. Once the minions do enter the range of the Phoenix, it takes more damage from all of your in-hands.
So as we look at this game right now, VNT going to have to fall back for a second after losing Trickstank here. Into the jungle go Minute Monsters, trying to chase them down, slow down the back end, rebound with a good juggle off the Fearless and the side too. But it's Cosmic who just got bursted to high heaven. Arkel cleaned him up alone, and now Zeros walks around the corner, picks up Mr. Stefan, who was trying to find a pick on Variety, lazy back in. And instead of the lazy backs coming through, it's everybody on Minute Monsters heading back to base.
Fred, he's not done yet. They found 3. They want number 4. It's going to be on to Hestrick. Only Half Devil alive to try to hold any sort of Phoenix pushes coming out of every single member from VNT. Middle Phoenix is already dead, and with that fire wave flooding down, this should be it.
Yep, open bracket week 2 going to go the same as open bracket week 1, with the last-minute monsters finishing in 2nd place and Variety's new team finishing top, and they will move on to relegations.
We'll see how both of these teams adapt to the changes between seasons, as well as there's going to be a 2-week delay between now and the relegations. Enough time for both of these teams to really practice and get back into the groove of things. I would like to see last-minute monsters, though, try to find ways to kind of adapt to their picks and bans, because like the Giannis was really good for Zeros, but the Zeus, though, was even better. It was just like so much control.
But mid laners for the most part is all about positioning, and Zeros is very good in those mid laners being in the right position.
But it's not just about Zeros, it's also about Trickstank. The way he's been able to play Sylvanas both games. There was an opportunity for last-minute monsters to take that away from them, but yet again, electing to go for the Kep Reap because of how aggressive Hestrick really wants to go. He got the Ratatasker the last game. He had Thanatos this game. Didn't really work out too well with the Thanatos, so they might have to go back to the drawing board for that one.
Big question then for VNT here, Tolly, is how do they look on paper? Because we've only seen them against other teams that are coming through the open bracket. This is a seasoned roster when you look at it overall. But where do we think they're going to measure up? Are they energy challengers here, or are they mid-table, low-table in the SPL?
I'm not buying any stock from them quite yet.
Okay.
I have to be really careful about what I decide that they're going to be, but I think that they could challenge some teams currently. The way they stand mechanically, they're all very gifted, but we've seen a little bit of slip-ups from them in the mid to late game. You know, them overextending a little bit beyond the tier 2 tower potentially. They need to find a way to just pull it back sometimes and look at the bigger picture.
You talk about pulling back, Trixtank was doing that all game on the Sylvanas, both games there, and he set up a lot for zeros this game in that mid lane. We mentioned the Giannis, we mentioned the Zeus overall. They had a fantastic performance. His positioning was on point, but he did have the backup, as you were saying.
Like we mentioned before, the communication has been on point. We saw the difference between Last Minute Monsters, just not able to really communicate ultimate cooldowns, especially with Rebound on the Guan Yu specifically. But we saw VNT always in the right spot at the right time because of the Giannis the first game. The positioning, the rotations has always been on point, allowing Arkell to take those 1v1s, take the 1v2s as well, and then transitioning that where in the second game where Trixtank was just rotating everywhere. We saw in the Soul lane very early rotation coming out of Trixtank and without even any Giannis support.
It's true. And on top of that, we talked about a lot about VNT. Obviously, Last Minute Monsters move on to the open relegations, so the relegation fight as well, I should say. Their team, they look okay. I think communications is the biggest issue.
Yes, they have to work about the communication just ever so slightly. So that's going to put them at 120 points in this second week. And looking at the points right here, Variety's new team, they win 2 weeks in a row, giving them 200.
And the Dutch Myrmidons are the third team there. 3 teams will definitely go from relegations here into the relegation fight against the bottom of the SPL. Obviously, Optimus Gang did well to get to 50 points there, but then everybody else is drifting down to 15. The Poppies, the Spanish favorites overall, unfortunately, they couldn't find it up to the top standards they've been before.
A team we don't see on this list is actually Stinky Cheese because of last week. They unfortunately had to forfeit that third, fourth place match. They were a little bit too smelly.
Didn't work out for them overall, unfortunately. An open bracket EU has been completed, as we said. That's the end of EU as a whole for Season 3 here, because Season 4 is going to begin with the relegations as well. But don't forget, tomorrow, we still have North America and still teams fighting there, Toli. It could be exciting.
I cannot wait to see more North American action, but that's going to be it for us today on the European side of things.
It is indeed. And with that, we'll call the end of the broadcast there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you tune in again at the usual time to watch North America and which teams are going to be going into the relegations.